All right, how's it going? God, my eyes are gonna drop out of my head. I spent yesterday, all of yesterday, and the night before reading. Just reading a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, I just got this thing. I want to take a look at it. And let's get these out of there. I was looking for an antenna connection so that I could do the Onagachi with an external antenna. You have to solder an antenna connector onto your Raspberry Pi Zero W if you have the newer one, which I do, because my older one broke. The older one broke because I soldered stuff to it. I really need to clean this place off, huh? There's a lot of junk right now. I'm just gonna take a look at this thing before we start. What is up, everybody? Amazonian Walrus. Oh my God, I almost just puked that out. Amazonian Walrus, how's it going? Jeez. I had a burp right when I tried to say it, and I was like, burp! Oh, I need to clean this area up, but today we have to actually get stuff done. This is the worst right here. This is all of my anxiety. All right, they said this thing was good. Said it was metal. This is gonna go under my desk so I can charge stuff. Oh baby, an oh bother stream. Yeah, hell. Might as well do one of these things, you know, every now and then. Yesterday I was caught up because the day before, I got news that apparently my, I guess family friend, like not god uncle. Actually, I think he's my actual godfather. Anyway, he got notice that he's been ignoring for over a year that apparently one of his family members has land. And this land happens to be with oil. And so there's all this negotiation that's going to take place soon over the driller's rights for this land that got sold. And it could end up being a pretty substantial, maybe not substantial to me, monthly paycheck. Struck it rich. Not really. No, not really. But it is something that like a distant family member bought like a couple plots in West Virginia. And apparently that's going to, I don't know, it might be a little bit of slush money, you know? Oh, bother oil coat. No, I'm not getting any of it. None of it's for me. This is just a family friend. But I spent yesterday researching all of the ins and outs. There's apparently a forum for the people who own these shares. And the oil company, basically they're what are called landmen that get a bunch of contracts together. So the oil company goes, hey, there's stuff there and I want it and I'm going to get it. And they get it no matter what, pretty much. But they go, hey, that is something that I want. And then these landmen, what they do is they get all these contracts together and then they get leasing rights for all of them. And so that's who's been contacting my family friend, basically. So I had to research all of the little gotchas that they have and all the legal agreements for these things. Because, you know, the landman's not doing this for free. They're trying to screw everybody. So it was, I don't know, I'm going to get more details on Saturday, but I had to learn how the plots are broken up and what the different rights are and how to keep this and that and the other. It is a whole world. It's a whole world of scams. What it was originally, this piqued my engineer brain because this was, at first I was like, oh, this is a scam. This is just straight up a scam. This is just somebody trying to get his contact information and get access to his bank account, right? That's all any of this is. And I looked into it a little further and it turns out one of the biggest things that they say about it is that it's actually not a scam. This is actually a thing. Crazy. Texas Instruments started out making sonar devices for finding oil deposits underground. That's crazy. They all have this $2,000 piece of software that they use. And apparently it's like a mineral survey, three-dimensional map of America or something like that. I'm not going to buy it and I couldn't find it to pirate. So, and I don't even know where these plots are yet. He has the details. So I'm going to be taking cell phone pictures and figuring out where is this land that I can kick people off of. And then I'm going to go out there with a shotgun and I'm going to kick people off of it. And maybe I'll have an eye patch and my beard will be nice and gray. And I can go, there's money in these lands. This is an advanced scam. This is a scam that gets into legal arguments. So yeah, with this notice that they've been giving, they apparently want to sign, but they always lowball the signing. They always lowball the price of the initial lease and then the amount of, what is it called? Oh God, the term just left my brain because I'm streaming. Your IQ drops when you stream. I'm dead serious. The, it's what I make. Whatever, the residual, a percent of the money that they make. God, what is that? Why did that just leave me? It's an R word, isn't it? It's, oh well, anyway. Royalties, that's the one. Why can't I remember basic words? God, why did you make me stupid? Anyway, yeah, Backseat Gaming Award. Anyway, it's crazy. I mean, this is all over something that might net you about the price of a new car, right? It's not that big of a deal. The royalties over time could potentially be quite a bit, adding up over a long amount of time. And there are also rules where they have to pay you every month, and if they stop, then you get interest on what they owe you, and they will stop because they try to screw everybody. Everybody tries to screw everybody out of money in this business for some reason. And these people, there are people who are just all their lives they've had this money coming in because a family member bought like all this money or all this land, and they just get money off of the land. It's like I've always had like $100 paycheck coming in. Like how are you so privileged? So pretty crazy. I had to learn a lot in a very short amount of time, in a very engineering kind of fashion. So my brain's going to explode. It's going to detonate. There will be a dull, sort of a wet thud, and all my viscera will hit the walls. And then you guys know that you can just close the window because I'm done. No, but it's been a lot. It's been a lot. I'm the type of guy that reads all the legal print. I'm very frustrating to talk to lawyers. And I will remain that way because it's a good thing to be in that business. Need to make a moving display here. Something needs to move in this shot. This is a fairly static shot except for the on-air light turning on when I initially start up. How are we doing this Friday? No, I mean, like, how are we doing this Friday? How is Friday existing? What's behind this? Help. How hard is it to spot weld a metal bar? I think I can fix my bed frame with zero experience. Whose tools are we talking? My tools or your tools? I have heard of people taking 2 car batteries and a copper coat hanger and actually being able to weld with it. You don't have any gas. You don't have any anything protecting it. I have no tools. Oh man, I don't know, dude. I mean, you can really kind of redneck engineer that. There we go. It's taken a while. The Romans, I imagine. That is how Friday. Yes, good point. A Bic lighter and some solder. It's a steel frame? You don't know what is the metal, first of all? That's the thing. That's the thing about like consulting fees and stuff. It's like you could do it, or you can get somebody who knows what they're doing and they'll come out and just go pop, and then that's it. You're like, why was that so expensive? Well, because if you tried to do it yourself, you don't have the tools, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the experience. If it is steel, I've seen YouTube shorts, people have been doing something like that. It doesn't end well. I tried on the fine Nordic steel. The steel is of the Vikings. For the steering wheel project, I had a very simple adapter that I wanted to make, and it was just 2 little pieces of metal. One of them was shaved off of a Mercedes steering column, and the other one was a piece of industrial like stuff for mounting a pulley onto a motor. And of course, the pressure was in all the wrong directions, but they went together pretty well. 2 big slabs of metal. I go, I can do this. I know what I'm doing. And so I went to the garage, got my welder, no idea how to use it. Not good at MIG welding. I'm not good at it. I know how to do it. I just not. Anyway, set it all up, and I want penetration. Let's turn this up to blast. and I go, put the welding mask on and everything, gloves, clamp on my ground, get everything ready to go. It's nice and clean because I just kind of sanded the material on the belt sander, so it was very clean at that point in time. And I go, bzz. Okay, well that went buzz. I don't, whatever. Bzz, bzz. That should hold. That's pretty good. Clean everything off, and then I sanded the welds, the little tacks down because it was on a flat piece that needed to mount flat. And once I sanded the welds down flat, the two pieces came apart again. So I have absolutely no idea if you would be able to weld it yourself. You could go get some jumper cables and a coat hanger, and you could attempt to get penetration with two car batteries. Maybe one might do okay. Some places have tools to rent. That would be a good way to do it too. Or you could, I don't know, put a lot of tape on it. Maybe that's not the good idea. Tape doesn't really do that. Welding is really the best way to do it. Yeah, maybe renting a welder, but then, like, how do you know if it's going to penetrate properly? I mean, if you can just get something to go bzz on that would be it. So, yeah, it's weird. Maybe borrow a friend's welder for 10 minutes. That's an interesting problem, though. It doesn't end weld. Gotta shake that one off. Father-in-law got a new TIG welder, and he is randomly chopping steel just so he has something to weld. Yeah, if I come into tons of oil money suddenly, first off, I will get a top hat. But second, after the top hat, I want to look at that laser welder. There was an engineering channel. I think it wasn't real engineering. It was the old guy who was fairly mechanical in all of his pursuing stuff. And he did a whole like hour, 2 hour, I forget how long it was, a long video. What's up, 3D lasers? All about this laser welder. And it seems like it's like they bought his channel. I don't understand. He was being so positive about everything about this thing. So, oh, bother the billionaire. Yeah, that'll be the day. I drink it up. I'll just go crazy with power. No, but yeah, so he did a whole long thing on this laser welder, which makes me a little suspicious of the laser welder that I've been talking about, because it's such a cool concept, right? You're welding with a laser. Laser welder, the compromised. I'm a little reticent about that. The praise that the welder is getting, because they have these YouTubers go to their place and use it under very strict circumstances. So it's giving me the little bit of the heebs-jeebs. But yeah, if I come into a bunch of money, Tech Ingredients, yeah, that's the one. If I come into a bunch of money, then I might get one of those. Of course, they'll be more mature by then, and there will be more legitimate reviews of it by that time. So, no, in all likelihood, I'd probably get a new car. A direct short has to be more energy efficient than a laser welder. Yeah, diodes are very efficient, but it's so much more direct to have an arc generating your heat. So, there are purposes for laser welding, though. I don't know what they are. I actually do not know what they are, but there are purposes for it. We do need to do a little bit of cleanup before we get into this, but what I really want to do is work with the scope today. Dan Gelbart? No, I don't know who Dan, if that's the guy in Tech Ingredients or if that's two separate channels. For your consideration, sleeping on the ground is good for your back. I sleep on the ground. In the morning, it's too hot, and I have like Arctic sheets, and I'm in North America. I'm in Pennsylvania, so things go cold and hot here quite a bit. And so I'm sitting there just fucking on fire in bed. So I will get out and just sleep on a floor, because I've been to a lot of festivals. I've been to a lot of friends' houses as a kid. I am very comfortable sleeping on the floor. So I do it quite a bit. Maybe that's why I don't have back problems. Dan Gelbart, he's a billionaire who has a machine shop attached to his house. That sounds like the dream. That sounds like a dream. Hey, Gonad, what's up? I just got finished telling chat that I have 2 plots or so in West Virginia that apparently have oil on them because the landman is desperately, what's up, Madam You? The landman is desperately trying to contact my family friend. So they're desperately trying to get him to sign a lease for it, which is crazy. So he could potentially make a little bit of money off of these 2 plots. It's not going to be a lot, but huge tracts of land. Yeah, it's funny. I was reading all about this stuff and, you know, the cost and the price and all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And then he says, he's like, I think it's like 1 or 2. And I'm like, oh, it's like nothing. It's nothing, but I don't want to see my friends get screwed. So, and this is an old family friend. I think my godfather. So we want to make sure to help him out. So I spent all of night before last and yesterday researching all this stuff. The Holy Grail isn't good, but it's quotable. It's standard Monty Python, where they sort of have ambition and they try to do it their own way, and then it all falls apart, and then they just pull the plug on it. That's standard Monty Python. That in and of itself makes it a wonderful movie. Because they always, under the guise of making high art, they always make something very infantile, which is what I love about them. The shop is a mess. I ran out of desoldering braid, and so I had to buy desoldering braid. And so now there is desoldering braid. This is $25 or $30 worth of I think these are $6 each. Something like that. No, they were more than 6. This is like $30 worth of desoldering braid. When does the stream actually start? When we're done chewing the fat. Because then I'll get down to brass tacks and actually work. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's very useful, but it's I need to be more sparing with the desoldering braid. Man, I hate prototypes. This thing, all the work that we put into this thing, this little strip of PCB, and it's trash. We'll get to the mixer testing eventually. Julian wants me to reprioritize, and so I'm actually listening to him for once and reprioritizing and actually looking at the synthesizers that I have and trying to make something that works out of it. Oh, and all that circuitry that was confusing me on the counting device, the DRO that we looked at, I think all that circuitry is for moving the decimal point. We'll kind of look at that at some point in the future. Could have been today, but I feel like I need to do this. We need to do something new. Oh, I'm sweating already. Well, it was, what was it? I don't know about all. You know, all's a pretty big statement, but Paul McCartney funded, which was it? Life of Brian? Because he just wanted to see what they'd make. He was like, I want to see what you guys are gonna make. One of the best things, the best documentaries that I came across on Monty Python is Almost the Truth, the Lawyer's Cut from who is that? AMC did it. Almost the Truth, the Lawyer's Cut. And it's just interviews with the Python boys before they all start dying off. They are looking pretty old in that documentary, but it sort of goes over everything. And it's really fascinating. And it's very well framed. The documentary maker kind of tries to have Python-style humor, and it doesn't really work. It's not quite the same. They try to have the sort of crazy psychedelic visuals, but they are not. What's his face? I know all the names of the Monty Python cast. I do, I really do. It's just when I'm streaming, that knowledge, the ability to pause for just a second and think about something, is gone. And I am just dumb. It's just what streaming does to you. It just reaps away. You leak those extra IQ points that you were saving for a good time. Where's all this stuff gonna go? Really, Cleese's? Yeah. No, not Dan Gel. Is that the second time that name is? All right, I gotta save all of these because these were from the mixer. And so there's specific values and specifically manipulated resistors and jumpers that will be useful for that. I'm gonna put that right there. That's gonna get in the way of the face cam. I guess it's good to have a little pile of wires right up near the camera. Hell if I know all these weird frickin' names that you guys keep putting into chat. Like as if, I know I understand a lot of references. People have said that about me in my chat, that they can't get away with referencing certain things. And it's a pretty wide swath of knowledge. But I'm not gonna be like that forever. I'm already starting to get dementia. One of these hasn't been fired. I'm gonna have my Omnipod example always ready. This is gonna be a loud bonk. That probably wasn't that bad for you guys. Yesterday I went to a store that sold Amazon returns and found 3 packs of 1 watt, 1K resistors. Wow. I should find a store like that. We have a lot of distributor and Amazon-y stuff around here. All right, this is coming over here. I should probably get another one of those USB-C power supplies because I could have the one power supply here powering all my stuff because it's 3 devices right now. The mixer, which is for my microphone, the scope, and the tester are all USB-C powered. I'm flush with 1K resistors. 1Ks are the most useful if you're doing stuff digitally because you can use it as kind of a little current blocker for all of your signals going in and out, and it keeps everybody nice and polite. And then if you want to put an LED in, you put a 1K resistor on it, and it kind of hurts your eyes a little bit. 10K is better for LEDs because that really puts a pillow over its face and holds it there until there's no more movement. You guys ever see the Omnipod? Oh, this thing's full of dust and dog hair. We should do another stream where we take apart an Omnipod again. This thing's crazy. What this does is it fires a needle into your body. So there's a needle here, and this little cart is holding on to it. It's got a needle and a blue tube. And what'll happen is when this thing is activated, it will move this barrel, and this barrel hits this catch, and that lets go of this massive spring. Ah, Jesus, you can't even see it. It lets go of the massive spring, which then advances the needle into your body, and then it retracts again, but only the needle retracts, and it leaves behind the tube. That's what this red cart is. This is my insulin pump. These are the disposable insulin pumps that I use. So this barrel advances, right? The barrel twists, and that turns a screw and advances a plunger that pushes insulin through a metal tube that's attached to a plastic tube that goes under my skin. And that's how it delivers insulin. So there's marks on this end so it can sense where it's moving. And there are these little hold down bars. And then there are all kinds of little features of this thing, because what it needs to do is lock in on the barrel regardless of how much insulin you filled. So it has a little spring that catches a barrel, and then the barrel's spun by this larger barrel with gears on it. And then there's this piece of memory wire. This piece of memory wire here. Memory wire changes its shape when it heats up. So if you put current through it, it'll heat it up, and it will move this little PAL device, P-A-W-L, this little PAL device that locks on one while it pushes on the other until this one clicks. then it moves in the other direction, and then the opposite happens. So the memory wire moves this back and forth like that, and that's what advances this. And then there's just all these features cut in it in order to make the one-time thing happen. It is an absolute masterclass in mechanical engineering and one-way devices. There's no way to restart this thing. Dark thoughts? No, it's not dark thoughts. It's fine. Medical devices are always interesting. It's particularly fascinating in the Omnipod because this one has been engineered in such a way that it is just simply not reusable. There's nothing reusable about any of this. It's pretty crazy. It's about $30 worth of stuff, and they charge quite a bit for them. And then there's all these watch batteries in it. Separate batteries for the different things that it does. There's a little RF device that's able to spin this thing with a deconstructed motor. Pretty crazy. There have been, we did a whole stream on these where I took one apart and we looked really closely at it and how it functions and looked at all the parts and all the stuff. But a little later on, there was a post. This is how an Omnipod works, and it got to like the front of Reddit, and everybody's like, "Ooh, I've never seen anything like this before." I'm like, "God damn it, I did that." It wasn't my work, but somebody did the similar to what we did. Is that what it is? Nitinol. Sounds like a cigarette. But yeah, it's fairly unique because the software that, at least the software that I use, bottle water, oi, love me bottle water, simple as, yeah. What was I saying? What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Sorry, I am completely scatterbrained today. 4 out of 5 diabetics smoke no. Connected to neutering animals. You gotta like work through some stuff, I think, my guy. The software is very unique because nowhere else do you have the warning dialogue that pops up that tells you, if you click OK on this, I will hurt you. I will injure you. I will fire a needle under your skin if you click this warning box. It is wholly unique to all of UI design, because really a lot of engineering is preventing harm. And this is like, yeah, I'm preventing harm, but I am going to punch you with a needle right now. Like, I just think about that a lot. Why does this happen? So when I'm streaming, I'm sitting here, that's great. A prank spoon made out of metal that deforms when you're stirring. So I will go into the different scenes on OBS right here, right? That's how I change my scenes. I do it with the mouse, or the Stream Deck also has buttons for them. But as I'm changing around my scenes, for some reason this always happens where it'll scroll down 1 or 3, whatever the standard scroll is. It'll scroll down just 1, actually. Usually it's just 1, like that. And so when I try to go back to the spring arm, I don't see it. I'm like, where is it? What happened? Maybe it's when hold on, let's try an experiment here. No, it didn't scroll. I went to the game face scene, which is the one down here. So that's this one. This is the special zoom for my comedy bit. I don't have 2 of them. I only have 1. 2 would be funny, and maybe I'll do that someday, but weird. Yeah, memory wire was one of those things that was like a solution in search of a problem for a long time. I think there's some of it on the Mars probe. One of the Mars probe has some use for it I read about. I don't remember, but I read about it. I don't even know what it was for. I just read that it had some. Maybe something to do with the heavy swing in temperature that Mars experiences. All right, everything is a mess. Everything is all over the place. But we need to get stuff done. We're going to test modules today. The wire remembers, but the tree forgets. Is this autofocusing? Can never tell. Nope. Good. Everything's set up. All right, let's get this out of the way. The mixer. We'll get back to that. It's all these things hanging over my head. And then suddenly I spend 2 days researching land rights in West Virginia. Stupid. It's his wife, deceased wife's grandfather was a crazy person, and apparently part of being a crazy person was purchasing some land, and now it turns out that it's full of oil. Not really. I don't know. There's a possibility. They're doing surveys, I guess, but it's not a lot. I mean, some people have like 70 acre plots, you know. This is like 2. But it's fascinating because I didn't know anything about this stuff. I didn't know, you know, crazy like a fox. I don't know what else this guy got up to, but it was there's some tales about him. But apparently part of that was like, yeah, I'll buy some land. Okay, well now 2 generations later, I'm like, what is this? Must be great finding treasure in your own backyard. I don't know. There's a little bit of a consideration about it that like it's kind of blowing up the environment too. Like it's not good. I'm in no position to stop any of it from happening though. And I can't do shit about it, but hey. Yeah. I'm from West Virginia. Originally, there's a few dozen hillbillies that have become overnight millionaires, usually natural gas. Yeah, I don't know. They want to go horizontally on these properties, so I don't know what there is there, or what'll happen about that, but that's crazy stuff. It's not, I mean, since it's like 1 or 2 acres, it's not going to be a big deal. I'm not suddenly going to have a machine shop, you know? That's not in the cards. But it was absolutely fascinating to read about because, yeah, some people have like, you know, like 100 plots. They really kind of leaned into those properties, and now it's like all those oil companies are now like, hey, you wanna get like royalties? And then a lot of people have been getting calls that just don't know anything about it, and they're just like, I don't care, whatever, fleece me. So I guess the oil companies are making bank off of people just not really getting like, oh, okay, $100, cool, I'm down, thanks. And then they go on with their lives. 2 acres happen to be a vertical column of oil. Stranger things indeed have happened. And the thing is, like, you got to be careful because you don't want to sign away mineral rights as well as the oil rights. It's this whole thing. Because what's around the oil could be worth quite a bit too. It's insane. I'll know where they are and a little bit about them after this weekend. We're gonna meet up with them. So I won't be streaming Saturday. I will be seeing to land ownership rights. I'll be wearing a monocle and a top hat, and I will. Oh, it's good to own land. Me, a millennial, looking after land. Oh yeah, and in a very millennial fashion, I don't actually own any of it. It's not mine. 2 acres full of oil, gold, lithium, and cobalt. Pure. It's just a big cube. Do you want to turn your backyard into a Minecraft server? No, more like, what was that game? The one with you could dig in the soil and you would look for like gold and stuff in it. There's not Hydroneer. There's the other one, the one that was a little bit more realistic. Hydroneer was the good one though. I didn't actually play Hydroneer. I gotta play Hydroneer. I bet that'll run on a handheld really well. Oh, you know what? I can actually get rid of these wires before we start. We're going to try to go through a couple modules today and like tune them up. I don't know how much we're going to get done. It's probably going to be one of those times where I find something initially and then we spend just 5 hours on it. Never dig straight down. There's a big cave under there and there's lava in the cave and you'll fall. At least carry a bucket of water on you for an emergency. Because you just throw down that bucket of water and everything's okay. A single 1x1 block shaft straight down to bedrock. Ellis, you know what the composition of everything is? No, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go there to the plots of land with a shotgun, and I'm going to kick people off of it. What are you doing on my land? Actually, to be fair, in that part of West Virginia, there's just nothing. there's nothing. You want a little bit of nothing going on? That's where you go. The only other thing that I've ever found underground at my place is mud. We have rocks, too. We sometimes have rocks under there. But the mud and rock. Mud und rock. I would love to reflash one of these modules, but I don't remember a thing about what we did in order to reflash it. It was a whole process. If I was rich like that, I'd buy one of those decommissioned Minuteman missile silos. Those are hell, though. No, there's been a couple channels of somebody refurbishing one. And while they are refurbishable and they are livable, there's something different about living completely underground, and you need to have good air handlers and you need to have good moisture reduction and you need to have pumps that work. It's not that cool. It's not as cool as you think. There's a lot more to it. But yeah, there was a YouTube channel with some dude refurbishing a missile silo. It's fascinating, but that's not for me. I know Rob Oz was looking at that one bunker. It wasn't a missile silo. It was like an emergency bunker. But you know, he would just live in a cot in the corner, like, right? What are you gonna do with all that space? Certainly not a streamer house. He's the least social person that I know. God, if he had a roommate, all he would do is complain about the roommate, I bet. I bet that would be his whole stream. Yeah, streamer desk in the corner with all the RGB LEDs in a big echoey room and just a mattress on the floor. You're not going to exactly have parties there, you know? I guess you could set up to have a blade rave. A blade-style blood rave. Yeah, just, you know, a Stream Deck XL that's not being used, just sitting right here. You know, not a big deal. I hate that this thing's around. I need to actually set this up for use on this computer, and I think what it'll take is running its own dedicated cable from the stream PC, which means I can't move it all the way over to my gaming PC. But then again, we haven't done a game stream in over a year, so maybe I don't need to have it tethered. I see what happens in this shop is that over here, this is the stream computer. This has a 1080 FTW in it and a reasonably decent processor. We've been kind of running out of memory lately, so I may need to do a round of upgrades into this thing. Have you looked into the Oblivion remaster? As much as I want to play it, I don't have time to dedicate myself to Oblivion again. I have hundreds and hundreds of hours into Oblivion. I love that game, but I don't know how much it got in me anymore. I really would rather get stuff done, you know. What's up, Poison Mouse? So yeah, okay. Stream computer over here. Audio stuff here, although we're not using it anymore because I've plugged in my Rodecaster to do the lav mic. So this would be stream computer, audio, and then internet, basically, is all on this rack. That's the server, the file server, and then below it is battery backup. So that makes sure that we just have a smooth transition over to the battery backup when I lose power. Used to lose power a lot. That's not happening anymore. So from there, out the back of the rack, there's two pathways. There's two pathways. One leads to the dark castle and the other one leads to the wonderful bright castle. So a couple USB lines come out to here. That's the XLR hookup for those two cables right there. So those will actually be removed, and my mixer will probably live right here in the meantime. But so that's where audio hooks up. That's a reasonably centralized location that keeps the wires from tangling on everything. There's a fan right there, which is keeping me alive today. It's hot in here. Big desk was going to be for brewing. Now it's for like music and stuff, and for piles of project. Laptop. I just moved that laptop there. So this laptop will be Julian and Dave's view into what you guys are saying. So we'll actually have a little bit of presence. Burn the subs, obviously we need to work on, but so that USB comes all the way over here, right? And that's the one hookup for the camera that's way over here. That's the BTS camera. That camera travels back and forth on the desk because I like to set up shots instead of having an automatic camera, and it double duties for the 3D printer. My arm is tired. Back over to the computer. This branches off. There are tons of USB channels running down back here to a 7-port hub. There's a 7-port hub right here that's a powered hub. So this is like a big deal metal powered USB hub. A lot of connections to it. That has the keyboard and mouse for the computer. It has not the mixer. It has the Stream Deck, the little Stream Deck, the programming hookup, and it doesn't have the webcam because this has connected to it an unpowered hub. And the unpowered hub, it's USB 3, unpowered hub goes to the mixer and the webcam. Actually, I think I might have had to split off and put the mixer in the hub because the mixer was taking a little bit more bandwidth. Anyway, the Logitech camera and the mixer are on this little hub that is on an extension. And that I can then move way over here and plug into my gaming computer when we do gaming computer streams. So all those extensions mean that when I plug that Stream Deck XL into this thing, which this would be a fine place for it because then I could move it between the desks reasonably, right? But unfortunately, there's so much bandwidth going through this, and the Stream Deck XL is so hungry that it is unable to start up when it plugs into there. So maybe I need another 7-port hub over here, but I think maybe I just need to run a direct connection. That the streaming computer needs to be as in the center of things as possible. And actually, it would really work out if the room next to this were just cleaned out. If I could have a whole desk, which would be the width of this wall in front of me, and have all my computers behind that wall, that would be perfect. And I could set that room up with 3D printers and a couple cameras and stuff like that. But if I could move it over there, then the computer could be in this corner or just the center of the wall, and then it would have an equidistant connection. But these Logitech cameras, especially the BTS cam, it's at its absolute limit. So I'd have to look at doing like NDI or something like that in order to get the camera signal around. I don't know how much, how bandwidth hungry NDI is. If I'm running a couple NDI streams in order to give you guys a scene, would it bog down my network? I don't know. These are things that would have that I would explore if my shop burned down. but these are all wooden desks. I really hope fire never finds this shop. But yeah, if something went horribly wrong, I would reinvent how things are done. If I had more space, obviously, I would be setting up completely differently, and probably building a pit for the steering wheel. Don't say that. Listen. I know what I'm doing. Sparks, fire. What if you get oil money? Yeah, if I get enough oil money. No, it's not. That's not going to be anything significant. All right. What should we do today? It's Friday. How's everybody doing? Let me get the music out of here. This is just DJ Everyday. It's one of his mixes. DJ Everyday is one of those Philadelphia DJs. Pretty awesome. He's a cool guy. He's very tall. He's also from West Virginia. Anywho, welcome. We are just going to look at what I have in terms of synthesizers today. I was speaking to my friend Julian. He's the one who's been pressuring me into this whole wide world of Eurorack synthesizers. There's a lot going on in that world. And just like anything, you drop in and you realize that there's all this lore that you've missed because you're coming in on the hobby scene, like when it's sort of more mature. A lot of the accessibility of electronics has gotten itself into the synthesizer realm, and analog design is something that I've wanted to kind of dip my feet into and get to know a little better. I don't feel like I have, although I am more comfortable working with operational amplifiers and those circuits. It's sort of rehashing a bunch of the knowledge that I gained when I went to college for this stuff. But the accessibility of digital stuff, you know, microcontrollers and programming and being able to explore your ideas and get electronics and buy the things that you need and sort of the global village that's been forming over the decades past has sort of led to the point where just about anybody, and I really do mean, well, no, anybody can get into this and really get to know it and sort of build. Aside from just like building synthesizers, you can make up circuits, you can follow what other people have done and build their circuits and test them out and have fun doing it. I love that this stuff has become popular because it's what I've always done. I have always sort of picked stuff apart and tried to get to know how it works and wanted to sort of flush out my knowledge of why does this thing make funny noise? And you go, oh, it has a little chip on it that makes the funny noise. And then you can get deeper and deeper and deeper into your understanding. But, oh, it actually sends out pulses that basically play a game of Flappy Bird with a voltage level. And that somehow makes noise. So we've been getting more and more into stuff like that and synthesizers and learning how they work and just kind of exploring it. I discovered that you can just buy circuit boards and you buy the circuit boards and they go, good luck, asshole, have fun, bye, poof, they're gone, right? You can just buy the circuit boards for all of these modules. You can save hundreds of dollars, although typically you don't save a ton of money because you really need to source parts, and sourcing parts means you get more parts than what you need to just build the synthesizer. And that still is cheaper than just buying the synthesizer, but it's also a pain in the butt. And you spend a lot more than you think. You ever watch those YouTube videos on how old military tech works? No, I have a friend who does that. He like goes to sleep listening to some guy repair a tractor from World War II. I'm like, okay, let your freak flag fly, but I mean, you're a crazy person. Anyway, that's the wonderful thing about YouTube is that you can get an insight into niches that you never knew existed. Like you're like, oh, pocket calculators. There's a guy who loves pocket calculators and refurbishes them on his channel. That's amazing. That I don't know if that actually exists. I'm sure it does, but I'm just pulling that up as a random. I don't know of a channel that actually does that. Oh, because it knows where it isn't? No, I haven't run across a channel. That sounds fascinating, though, actually, to be honest. So, synthesizers, getting into them, buying circuit boards. You can just buy the circuit board, and if you're the kind of person that has tons of parts around, you can put together these synthesizers. The thing is, we went through that, and it was a bit of a whirlwind. I got a recommendation on the minimum number of things that I would need in order to put together a Eurorack that was capable of actually doing stuff. Yeah, you're derailing me during my initial monologue when I talk about what the project is. It's fine. We did a whirlwind build of a bunch of different modules, and I've still got stuff that I need to do. In typical fashion, we get 80 to 90% through what I declare as the project, and then I move on to other stuff because I try to keep variety on the show. Sorry, that's just how it works. I'm coming back. Circle back to the project. What's up, rock hounding and fossils? Collecting components, combining, designing, modifying. Yeah. So we did that, right? And so now I've got these fleshed out modules, these fleshy, sort of horrible existential nightmares of bioengineering. No, I mean, actual electronics. I have actual Eurorack modules that should work in a particular way. I need to know that they do, right? So we need to kind of go through stuff and actually figure out what I've built, what I've successfully built, what I need to modify. There's a lot of project here. We're probably going to get stuck, or I'm gonna focus in on something that I probably shouldn't, and it'll take us the whole stream and we won't get anything done. But you know what, whatever. We'll have fun doing it. So to get started, I need to get all the modules out of my synthesizer. Now I've put together a pretty good collection of modules here. I don't know what exactly I'm supposed to be doing with them, but I would like to eventually set them up so that I can make cool noises with it. And maybe I could have something that gives a little ambience during the beginning of stream that isn't exactly music. That isn't exactly, you know, a song that I'm going to get copyright struck from. Okay, so I've got a bin full of modules. Let us flesh out the bin full of modules. By the way, the M303s, one of these is a viewer's. I still have all the information for that viewer. You're going to get your M303 back when I figure out how to fix it. And one of them is my buddy Dave's. He'll never get his M303 back. No, he will. I'll get it back to him. The 303 is a really cool acid house sort of, well, this one's a voltage controlled oscillator. The M303 is really cool. I have not been able to get these freaking things to work. Both of them exhibit the same symptoms. They're both too quiet. Why are they too quiet? I need to get to the bottom of that, and that requires more reverse engineering into the Acid Labs circuit. In the meantime, let's take a look at my actual synthesizer. This is an old wooden box that Julian and Dave made. I paid Julian for one and they gifted me the other just because. I think they were trying to clear out. They were like, you could just have this one. It's like, sweet. So I've got two of these. Only one of them has power rails, and I was thinking of taking the second power rail of this one and moving it to the other box, and then just having a cable that plugs in from one box to the next. I had to reverse engineer some stuff, and luckily Dave works in metric, so I was able to actually create my input panel here. So I've got the switch on there, and then I've got the 15 volts DC coming in. The power supply modules are from Pololu. They can provide more current than this thing would ever suck down. It's a little bit overkill. I can get amps and amps when this thing is just taking a couple milliamps per module. So, I mean, when things blow up in here, they will really blow up. I 3D printed a couple backboards for these power strip modules. The power strip modules came from a place that Julian told me to not buy from anymore. And I was like, what? That's weird. Why? Why would I not buy from them? And he was like, he said some stuff on his website that was just not good. A lot of conspiracy theory kind of stuff, and a little bit of anti-Semitism and anti-Semitism and a little bit of racism. Pretty much all the isms. So I will never be buying from that company again. I can't exactly return them at this point. I hate that I have them. All right. And then the modules. Now these are supposed to be the working modules. I 3D printed the front panels because buying them without front panels is cheaper. Oh Christ. Yeah, exactly. Having a website and not going crazy. I mean, those are like bare minimums. I have a bunch of modules in here. Some of them I know work. I think one of them I need to reflash. But we should have enough to like make noises here. But let's get these to like testing. I wanna use the tester module over here, and I want to make sure that everybody works properly. This one I want to turn into a low frequency oscillator instead of what it is right now, which is sort of a wibbly nonsense maker. What's up, bananoids? Babinaminoids? My mixer's dusty. So the Mahalos sent me this kind of awesome gyroscopic screwdriver. This thing is really good for getting all your modules off of your modular synthesizer. It would be a lot of twiddling of my fingers in order to get all these things off of here. And while my finger muscles are up to the task, it's just a little bit more civilized to do it with this thing. One of the hard things to source was the small adapter for the 1/8 of an inch bits on this thing. But I got it. I found it. I'm moving the fan closer. If you guys can hear the fan, let me know. But you shouldn't be able to hear the fan. At least that's what people say. All right, so these are all set in with a hex bit, so I'm just gonna get them all out of here. I think I bought more cap heads, so I think I still have enough to do this. I don't know where they are. There's a bag somewhere. I just planted a cherry tree. No, I have a bunch of pepper plants this year. I'm going to grow hot peppers in a planter in the little alleyway that we have. And they're doing okay. I actually got the habanadas to grow. Habanada is like a habanero, but it doesn't have any spice. So what I want to make is a relish where when you open it up, you think you're about to get assaulted by mace. But when you taste it, it's just sweet. Because you know, when you open something that's got like a lot of habanero in it, you're like, oh no. You can tell things are about to go south. Like, I'm gonna die. This is the vent module. It's just a vent. We'll test this one. We'll make sure that this one still works. I'll mount it up here. The problem with what I did over the past 48 hours, all the researching into this whole world, is that I feel like I haven't done anything. Peppers are still growing. I'm bad at growing from seeds. Yeah, what I did this year, I actually messed up a little bit. What I did this year was I took that Creality 3D printer tent, you know, the thing where if you're printing like weird filaments like TPU, you want to keep the whole, all the air around the 3D printer a certain temperature, right? So you buy one of these hoods, and what they are is essentially the things that people would grow pot plants in, right? They're a little like plant growing setup for your 3D printer. So I've had one for a while because I was having print problems and I thought that might help out. It didn't. So it's been sitting in the shelf. And when it came to these seeds, I said, well, okay, so I've been trying to grow these seeds and they just haven't done anything properly. So I'm starting early this year. So nice and early, putting them in that hood with 2 LED panels and a controller that'll turn on the LED panels during sunup and sundown. I'll turn on and off those lights. And I figure it's around 70 in this house, even in the winter. So if I start early, the plants will just think that they're planted in 70-degree weather. And I put all that together and I got it working and it worked. I actually got seedlings, but the problem is I didn't have any air exchange and it's sitting in the basement. So a mold grew on top of the soil. And from what I hear, people have that happen just with regular, normal conditions. It's like the soil has mold in it initially. And so I made a perfect mold growing setup. So I put them outside when it finally got warm enough and all the mold, most of the mold died off. They're about to get transplanted though, but man, it did gangbusters this year. It did really well. So now I've got all these pepper plants that we're going to put in a big planter. And then at the end of the year, I'll either smoke them or put them in a relish or both. I still have the peppers from last year. They're in the freezer. I got to do something with them soon. But yeah, this is the first time that I've had the second time, but it's the first time I got the habanadas to actually do anything. So I'm excited. I think it'll be pretty good. The BMC mixer is one of the ones that we did kind of weird stuff on. We used Fusion 360, hashtag AutoCAD ad, to make brackets that hold on to the circuit board. We did a basic measure of the circuit board, and then I made these brackets that'll sort of hold this steady inside the synthesizer. I don't know if I want to split up the two bins that I have. I could do analog on one and digital on the other. Or I could just mix and match. I think we're in a spot where I just need to mix and match everything. This ADSR does not work. So we need to get to the bottom of what's going on with this one. This is a very simple circuit, so I don't know why it didn't work. I did do weird stuff with the transistors. I decided not to use through holes. I guess I could go back and make them all through holes if we need to, but it should work. It's just not. It's probably because I changed stuff. Yeah, I just want to get the rack out of the way because it's just bulky and hard to work with. And I don't know which module. I think this one, the basics. I think, no, not basics. I think clouds. Julian wanted me to load up a different firmware into clouds. Jeez, this is a lot. You have what? What do you have? Why is this standing up? Did I do that intentionally? The power plug is like standing up vertical. Weird. This is one of the ones where I think I need to go over the soldering a little bit. Oh no, you know what? Not this one. But some of the components are so small that they possibly don't make good contact. I think this one works though. We've been over this one. I'm starting to remember. This is Kinks, one of the original broken modules that Julian had me work on. And then I got my own and built it up. It was a very, very small design. So there's probably some errors, but there's not a lot of room to work because for some reason, everything's on the other side of this thing. Oh. Julianne, what do you do with potatoes? Yeah, I'm hoping everything grows nicely this year. Just about at the stage where I move it to the planter. The planter is copper though, so I think we need to line it with like a garbage bag or something. All right, now we can get this out of the way. This is just power distribution. I used XT30s on it. It was fun. But alas, at some point I will get this power rail and move it to the other one because I don't know how many modules I'm going to have in this thing. There's a lot of power plugs here. But I just don't think I have that many modules. Maybe if I start getting into the 2 HP stuff a bit more, this will become more relevant and I'll have to buy new power distributors for the other case. Soldering project done. Time for beer and video games. Hell yeah, brother. All right, so empty case. We will put stuff back in as we get it working. Happy birthday to the ground. Okay, there we go. Okay. You can grow milk too when you have a cow. Is that like an old saying? It sounds like an old saying. Yeah, my pappy always said. Till I fell down the well. He always said, he says to me, he says, did you get your RC car going? Yeah, where is it? It's right there. I need to, now that the weather's gotten nice, I want to take this thing back out and see how fast it goes. There's more that we can do to the RC car, and we'll come back to it at some point. I want to put working headlights in it and stuff just for fun. Because that would be good fun. That would be kind of awesome. Okay, basics. Oh my god, it's all faded and gross. I tried to marker the labels on, but it didn't really do much. Let's take a look at basics and see how it works and see that it works. I think we already tuned this one. We used sort of an online tuner. But we're going to do this for every module. We're going to plug it in. We're going to learn how it works, and then we make sure that it does its stuff properly. And we'll start with one that I know kind of works. And we're going to use this tester to do it. It'll be pretty cool. This one does have a stereo output. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. All right. You know, rude. That's just rude. Basics. Basics can get you just a simple drum line going. There we go. I'll just put 2 of these in because these are kind of a pain. Probably should make these into big handles so it's easier to get stuff in and out. But these knobs are like the cheapest that I could find that were metal and knurled properly. And then the gray backing is just kind of it offsets it nicely. It gives my whole synthesizer a real utilitarian look. Everybody has metal panels on their synths though. Mine are plastic, so they're a little thicker. Beautiful. All right, so we got this thing hooked up. Turn this on. I definitely plugged it in correctly. Not a whole lot of current coming through everything. Good. That means that we're in pretty good shape. So let's learn about basics. Let's see what we can do here. And let me make a stack of my modules over here. Just stack them up. I don't have a ton of modules, but they are pretty good ones, I guess. What 3D printer do you have? It is a Creality CR10S from many, many years ago that I've modified just about everything on. It's no longer what it used to be. It is a completely different 3D printer. It's a direct filament drive, Hymeria hot end, with a custom 24 volt controller that's MKS Pro. I forget what the acronym is for it. Jeez, this is why I don't remember like basic words, is because I know that stuff. Okay, so it would be, this is Mutable Instruments. Basics. Really, why is there so much? Modular grid, YouTube, elements, what? I guess it's basics module. Okay, there is a rehost of all of the information. There we go. Basics is kind of a cursed name because it seems like I'm asking for the basics of oh, maybe I reflashed it with that. So what was this? Not braids. I have a clouds, but that's not what this one is. Kinks, links, marbles, peaks, plates, rings, ripples 2020. That's a rehash. The original ripples, shades original, shelves, stages. I'm just doing this to see what's familiar. Tides. It might be tides. It's not tides. It's not. Tides is a different one. Branches, clouds is a different, yeah. Edges, ears, no. Element, whenever I click, it takes me all the way to the top. The three down scrolling is getting kind of annoying on this mouse. Streams, no. Man, this is tough. I don't think it's yarns. No. I may need to just go down the list and do it all one by one. I don't have a laser cutter, no. I don't have a lot of stuff, man. I got the milling machine. The milling machine came to me in a dream. You know, it came to me from Reddit, actually. There was a Reddit Millionaire Makers contest, and I entered it and happened to win right about at the time when I started just streaming, just because I needed something to do. No, I wasn't able to find a job in engineering in my area. And while there are jobs, the type of job that I wanted didn't really exist. So I started doing my own streaming stuff. And right about then, I went to the Millionaire Maker sub and left a comment. And then the next day, I woke up. No, it was actually at 4 o'clock in the morning. I got a message. I'm like, why am I still downstairs? I got a message that said, hey, you might want to make some, autonomous accounts. Some accounts where people can't trace back to you because you're about to get a bunch of donations. I was like, what? So I made all the accounts and I called up PayPal and said, hey, there's going to be a lot of activity on this account. There wasn't. It was a windfall of about $1,500. And so I went, well, I could pay rent with this, or instead of just having it evaporate in front of me, I could commemorate this sort of weird thing by buying a thing that I'm going to have for many, many years. And so that's the Sieg X3 mill. It's not the best. It's not the worst. I've seen other YouTubers with that mill do a lot of different improvements on it, but I'm a broke aerospace engineer. I get it. Yeah, it's like I could work at McDonald's, or I could make that same amount of money putting myself onto the internet and being a clown. So I made the decision. to have less money than somebody who flips burgers. But anyway, that was because of the Millionaire Makers contest, and I've improved it and put like a DRO on it and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really have I don't have a CNC. I don't have all kinds of stuff. There's many things I don't have. I pretty much have a 3D printer, a bandsaw, and a milling machine. That's what I get by with. Captain O'Bother. Hey, how's it going, Mahalo? I heard mahalo means sorry. I didn't think it meant sorry. I thought it was hello. Anyway, we're looking for whatever the hell module this is. We modified this module, and I should put a label on the back. Mahalo means thank you. Oh, okay. All right. So I think my brain replaced sorry with thank you. Oh, mahalo means thank you. Mahalo means troll. Oh, no. Interesting. So the parent company of Hackaday before I left was called Mahalo. What's Mahalo? That's when you're just not feeling it. Okay, we got to find out what module this is, and the only way to do that is by either somebody knows what basics is, or we look for the grouping of LEDs and stuff. Our hollow comrade. Soviet theme in the background. Does this thing say what it is? It says basics on it. This thing says basics. Wait, is it not mutable? It might not be immutable. Wait a minute. We got to get to the bottom of this. Here, oh, I see why. I tried to move the light before it didn't move because the synthesizer box is right there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's lower that a little bit. Get it out of this shot. It's a little too intrusive. There we go. Okay. I don't know what module this is, so let's just go through the list here and figure it out. So I'll start at the top and we'll go to the bottom. I'm going to open up a new window so this thing doesn't re-index me. So is it beads? Let's get close to it over here. I'm really hoping this is Immutable Instruments and not some other module, because I guess we'll have to go back to the website where I bought it in order to figure out what it is, if that's the case. That is not beads. Although I think I have beads. Blades. Oh, I didn't open it in a new window. Sorry. Is it a blades? It's not a blades. Is it a blinds? Definitely not blinds. Is it a braids? Not a braids. There's a screen on it. Branches. No. Clouds. Clouds I already have. I know it's not clouds. Ears. What I'm worried about is that I might be getting this might be a module that is an offshoot of Immutable Instruments. And it's called that, and so I'm not quite, it's not edges. Elements. Definitely not. Framies. No. Grids. I don't think it's a grids. It's not a Kinks. I have a Kinks. It's sitting right here. It's not a Lynx. I don't have a Lynx. Marbleps. Marbles I actually do have. There, you see this module, by the way, marbles. If you guys watch stuff that happens to have like a Eurorack synth in it, you know, something like another piece of media where they just have this Eurorack thing sitting around, which I've seen a lot. You know, they feature this thing in like the background and say this person's very smart. They do a lot. You'll see them around, and if you see a Eurorack, you'll typically see this module in it. It's kind of crazy. A lot of people use it. To what end, I have no idea because I haven't gotten that deep into the actually making music yet. But Marbleps is all over the place. What the? Things happening. Oh my God, it's a huge raid. Who is that? Wait, whoa. We got 65 people coming here from Hetanes. Do all the Linux. I'm trying. I'm Linuxing as hard as I can. Ah! How are you guys doing? 65. Holy crap. Pillage and then burn. You need to like talk to somebody or something. That's a heady thing to say. How you guys doing? How's everybody doing over there at Tennis? At Tennis. We're doing Eurorack stuff today. It's a lot of forest for the trees. Typically, we sit in here and do like soldering stuff. I had a lot because of a Chris Titus Tech raid. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the only Linux that I've really been working with lately is Bazite on a handheld. I've been trying to get that up as like a thin client for LAN parties. So I don't have to schlep my whole computer there. I'll just take a monitor, a keyboard, mouse, and then the handheld. And if I plug all that stuff in, I have a full computer, basically a laptop that I can use in order to play games on. And so if the games get a little bit too AAA, which they don't often do because AAAs are just not worth it these days. We usually play dumpy little LAN games. The dumpy little LAN games can run directly on, and if I have anything harder than that, I can remote in to my computer and run it. Chris Titus Tech and his community are great folks. Good to hear. I mean, hey, everybody here also needs to check out Hetanis. So, I mean, I could shout out. How do I work this crap? /shout out Hetanis. Sorry, I'm saying like Hetanis and stuff because when I first learn a name, I will botch it constantly. Oh, it is Hetanis. And then we'll also shout out. That's exactly correct. It's an anagram. It's funny. Sometimes I think I'm completely destroying a name, and I see that, and it looks like Christchurch, but it's Chris Titus Tech. Yeah. I have 31 seconds, 1 minute and 31 seconds before I can shout out. So I can't do that yet. It's not letting me. I wonder if you could grow your channel by shouting out larger channels constantly. Like you set out like a blanket of shout outs so that you get like thousands of channels that are like, who is that? Why did they shout me out? Yeah, all my viewers are other streamers going, who the hell is that? The Saint. Yeah, that was a good show. I didn't watch much of it, but I did know the theme very well because Orbital did a version of it. Shout out. Oh no, hold on, I'm messing it up. Did you clipper your printer? Yes, I did. It's running clipper. Everybody says to go to Mainsail though. Everybody says Mainsail's the one to go with, not clipper anymore. But mine, I did it. I put clipper on it, and that's just what I have. But every time I open up like Octoprint, people are like, "You should go with Mainsail." It's like, Mainsail's the replacement for Octoprint. Wait a minute, what am I talking about? I have my printer is running an MKS, I think, mainboard with the current sensing. Oh my God, I'm getting phone calls from a medical company. What are you doing? Stop doing that. Jeez. Okay, my phone's going weird. I have a Hymeria hot end, the super duper quiet stepper motors from whatever that board is that I put in there, a $500 24 volt power supply from an estate sale. It's like a super modern, like DIN rail 24 volt power supply. I have a 120 volt hot bed, and it's a bed slinger. It's an old Creality CR10S that I've upgraded with linear rails and my own design of brackets. And then I've got the stabilization bars. I've got the BL Touch probe. It's running Clipper through Raspberry Pi that also has Octoprint. But apparently that's a little old. The good thing about Clipper is that you can just put together your printer in a set of settings, like just a list of settings. There's your printer. And it's really, really nice when you're tuning it too. That thing is overkill. You could have just gotten a Bamboo at that point. It didn't exist when I did all this, okay? Like, that's one thing about fucking printer. These fucking printer people are so obnoxious. It's the worst. It's like, fucking shut up. Every time you mention a technology, they say that you should have The latest. When did that come around? When was that created? Because I wasn't there for it. I'm not sitting on all these websites hitting F5 waiting for the next thing to drop. I got my printer to work, and it works, and now it works. That's it. We're done. The printer is not taking over my life. It has its place. I can't stand. They always do it. It's not just I'm not singling anybody out. It's just always what happens, and that's why I'm even apologizing in the language when I speak about what printer I have. I feel obligated to stop what I'm fucking saying and go, I'm sorry, nebulous printer technology people. You have beaten me down to the point where I start sprinkling apologies into my language. It's fucked up, you know. God, it's exhausting. Anyway, it's a CR10S that I've modified just about every facet of to be a little bit better. And Bamboo didn't exist at the time, so that's where we are. There's a shout out to a bunch of people that are now scared of me. Okay, so we're looking at modules here, right? I still throw up a cups. I don't even know what that is. Server in a small environment. That's one of the OG services under Unix. It's still popular. Oh, I see. I'm running a stock Ender 3, and that's why I hate 3D printing. Telling your chat to shut up is a free action. Yeah. It's exhausting, though. It really is. We're looking at what this module is. I don't know what this module is. It's called Basics, and actually, apparently, Basics is written on the back. Oh, Cups is one of those. Yeah, Basics is written on the back of the module, and we've got it in my little module tester here. Eventually, you know, one day, this will turn into a more featureful testing thing. I can have it do self-checks and keep itself in line. Right now, all this is an elaborate signal generator. The Teensy 4 and the whole Teensy family has these wonderful audio tools where you can just drag and drop a set of connections, and then it'll output whatever you want, the certain formats on its pins, and you can just hook that up to something like a DAC, which is a digital to analog thing. So what I have here is a DAC, and under it is an operational amplifier circuit of whose gain is adjustable by these scientific little potentiometers. It's basically a potentiometer wheel and then a worm gear that you can spin. So those are setting up the gain so that I have plus minus 10 volts coming out of this thing. In the Eurorack world, the voltages are all bumped way up because you get more clarity with more voltage. So we have plus and minus 12 volts feeding our system. Our audio, the amplitude for our audio can be as big as plus and minus 10 volts. That's sort of the standard, the de facto standard that I've been working on. There's a 1 note per volt signal, and then there are trigger signals that are plus 8 volts. They're just positive 8 volts and 0. And then there are also system signals that are basically do the job of, you know, twiddling the knob back and forth for you. So you have a voltage level that's twiddling this knob in a particular way. That is plus minus, I think, around 5 volts, but it can go up to 10 because this is a walled garden. Everything in here is tolerant of plus and minus 12 volts and maybe even a little bit above. Index C just subbed. Why did that? This should be like on a little bit longer. What's going on there? Hold on, we're gonna jump into Node Red. Something's up with the idea light. So Twitch event, Index C subbed. So that is down here with sub or gift sub. 2 seconds on the red, and then it's the same flow that everybody else has. So there shouldn't be that much of a problem here. Let's bring that up to 4. 4 is like a huge amount of time, but if it's a subscription, then I want to know about it. All right, bring that up to 4. What is that module? I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. I thought it was a mutable instrument, but it might not actually be. Yeah, Node-RED has been amazing for the shop because what I can do is I can come up with an interaction that chat would have and make it happen. So during the beginning of stream, I actually made a flow that looks at the chat message and looks to see if it says start soon. Because I've got this thing that tells people that we're not actually streaming at the moment. And it's not literal we're not streaming, because yes, I am streaming, I'm on camera, but I am not working on the project. The actual meat of the stream hasn't started. So what happens is it comes through and it checks to see if this thing in OBS is active, if that OBS source is active. And if it is, if the return on that contains true, then it will turn one thing on and one thing off. And what that is it unviews this and then it turns on a much larger version of StartSim. That timing was impeccable. Then there's the delay and then it does the opposite. It turns it back to where it was. So when somebody asks, and somebody's thinking a little bit too hard about the production, it will petulantly make it enormous and then go back to normal size. So that's something that I came up with on a whim, and I was able to just kind of put together as a flow in Node-RED, and it works off of the Twitch event sub. This is the front end now for the entire shop, and every layer of interactivity that I have and bring to the table here goes through Node-RED. So even burn the subs, which you guys don't know about, we haven't done it in a long time. Burn the subs. I gotta wait for that to get small again. Let's turn that off. Okay. Burn the subs is this big slab of wood on my wall. It's a XY table. Table's a little bit generous. That is run by a 3D printer controller. I've got some special stuff going on the control box that we do need to get back to working on. Eventually what'll happen is, and I have 2 more boards of this, by the way, that have all gone to fruition. But when somebody subs to this channel, this thing will get the name, find a random spot on the board, and then burn the name onto the board with a blue laser. And I've had this for a while. I've had this system running for quite a while. It has been a long delay in getting this thing running again. I'm saying this for the benefit of the raiders. Yeah, Node-RED is super awesome for lighting controlling. I remember when it was working. I was there, bother, 5,000 years ago. Listen, we had 2 successful boards. One of them has 6,000 exactly names on it. I think it actually is like 5,999, I think. But anyway, one of them has 6,000 names on it. The other one has like 1,200 or 3,000. I forget what the numbers were. And I still have those databases saved away, but it got old. And we've gone through the design of the new one. We've improved literally everything on it. We will get to it, and I said I'd work on it this month. So we will get to it. I will get back to working on it. We need to kind of turn the last screw on hardware, and then I can get into the software, which is not terribly complicated. It's basically just running Python, but we need to somehow get into Clipper's API so that we can control the thing using Clipper. And instead of, well, actually, didn't they? Whatever it was, the thing that we were using to control it before, I think it came back. GRBL, that's what it was Gerbil. We were using Gerbil to control the XY table, and then it was depreciated, and then I think it came back. but I don't think that we're going to use Clipper, because Clipper has some good look-ahead stuff that is similar to what Gerbil was doing, just to control the X and Y. We need to make sure that it's specified that it's a laser, kind of like a 3D printer versus a CNC. The CNC should know that it's heavy as it moves around, whereas the laser should know that it's very quick, and also to slow or speed up on the corners, so it doesn't etch deeper when it turns a corner. Moonraker, never heard of it. I don't know what that is. Burn the subs doesn't work for many years. Python 3 based web server that exposes APIs, which, no, we're using Mosquito MQTT to do all of this stuff. Mosquito MQTT to do Tasmota lights and ESP8266s that will also look at MQTT. So when I've got a particular point redeem, right? Where is that? Those are the chat messages, raids, subtext. So point redeem, if it's the channel fart, we set our payload to be the message. And if the message contains 0 through 9, then it'll go out the top flow and go to the fart box, where it makes one of 9 fart noises. If it is 0 or any other character, it'll go down here where we assert a 0 and then send it to the fart box. So then what you guys on your end, you just go in to redeem a channel point thing and it says 0 through 9, everything else is random. And you go, I want 4, and you send that. It'll come in through event subs. It'll go into MQTT. The ESP8266 on a skeleton program will come through and say, oh, that's this number. I will set off this number. And it actually goes into a queue because the farts take time to redeem. And if we have hundreds of people in here, then the fart redeems can come in, rapid fast. So it actually, on a queue, on a little matrix that we made, string, what is it again? Anyway, it'll go into a position on that thing and then get advanced until it gets to the front of the queue. Because we have to wait to set off the next fart, otherwise you could interrupt each other, which is unheard of. Okay, that's you guys have gotten deep into what this shop is all about and the types of things that we work with here. I have recently done all that Node-RED stuff, so I'm hoping that we can bring back that chat interactivity a lot more. I would like to make big displays for texts and stuff that you guys send in, and we can just have fun with it and do all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, it's a very specific system, these farts, and so we have to regard them with the utmost of maturity and reverence. I keep flipping back to this one. What the hell is this module? It's called Basics. It's called Basics, but I might have to look up where I found this thing. There's all kinds of markings all over. This might be a rehash of a Mutable Instruments module. And it looks like they did a no-no and they kind of labeled all of the specific stuff on the PCB. Like you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to like name stuff on your PCB. But if any of this changes, it's much cleaner and easier to have C1, R1, R2 instead of 100K, 100P. If you want to do a revision and change the value of one of these things, then you have to like have a picture of the circuit board where it shows what it's supposed to be. It's instead of just changing like, oh, C1 is now this value. You don't want to design like this. Okay, so this is Olivia Gillette before they transitioned. So it's an old design of Basics. But I'm wondering if this is a redesign. Because it looks, I mean, Olivia eventually went to C1, R1, like all the proper labeling and stuff, but Basics PCB, I mean, okay. Well, let's see if we can find it. But Basics wasn't on the list, was it? This is the index of, Emily Gillette got out of the synthesizer business. She doesn't want to do it anymore. She doesn't want anything to do with it. So the website depreciated, but they did a really cool thing before leaving the synthesizer scene and send it to ChatGPT. No. They did a really cool thing and they published all of their schematics and stuff. And so I can load into Fusion 360 all of Emily Gillette's designs and I can copy them. I can do whatever I want with it, is apparently what the release was on that. So I have brought in similar circuit structures and components into my own projects because Mutable Instruments is legendary musical technology, and it's really good to be able to see the evolution of somebody's designs through their career in doing this stuff. It really helped me learn a lot of the stuff that was involved. So if you want to look at how a Eurorack module functions and the sort of circuit structures that go on there, you can get to the schematics on this website. It's really cool. It's a very good learning aid for this kind of stuff. I've even taken components from the designs and put them on my own PCBs, like in this one here. Some of the components on this one, the Hajiwo circuit, are Emily Gillette designs. They're very similar indeed. So pretty cool stuff. So we're looking at Basics, but Basics isn't listed in here. Oh no. Beads, blades, blinds, braids, branches. I didn't expect, okay, maybe I did. I told you guys early on that there would be some like hurdle to get over or some roadblock that we run into early on that's going to take up most of the time today. And then I'll get hilariously little done towards the project that I wanted to do. That's how it always freaking goes around here. And that's what's going on right now is we can't, even though this thing says it's an Emily Gillette design, I can't find it. I don't know if it's like a rehash of another design. I remember we loaded something into it though. Some other firmware. So I am forced to just go through and figure out what the hell this thing is. This is really just messing me up because it says, and it could be that somebody did a like reorganized the design and made it more buildable and then put Oliver Gillette's name on it. But I don't know, man. Programming the microcontroller was the most annoying part. Luckily there's guides. There's easy guides on how to do it. But the STM32 requires you to load like this whole environment, which is probably a good idea in microcontrollers because then if you need to load special stuff into the computer, you're not messing it up. But I don't know, it's stuff that I'm totally unfamiliar with. I should have, we should probably have VMs for everything we do. Programming PID is more annoying. That was my whole major. All right, let's just keep looking. Elements, not elements. Frames, no. I don't think we're gonna find something that's, you know what? What was the website where did I buy this stuff from? Hold on a second, I gotta remember this. Where did I buy this crap from? These came from a website that sells just the, what do you call it? Just the PCBs, and I think it was a redesign of one of the mutables. PCB. I get the same exact results. It's not changing it. That's so weird. The same results for PCB in there. Let's see, odd volt, mod wiggler. Trying images maybe? Ah! Blue Lantern Basics, that's what it is. Yep, that's the one. Okay, so we can look up Blue Lantern Basics. Basics on owning blue lamps. Are you getting into the wide world of blue light? Here's some interesting products. Oh my God. Wait, why am I getting such like a... Oh, what has happened to you, Google? I'm so sorry that's happened to you. You're so useless these days. Okay, so it's a Peaks. It's a CVable Peaks. Wait, I want to go back to that page. Files and info at the bottom of the page. What? No, there's no information. There's nothing. What's happening? Here we go. Blue Lanterns survival.html. Huh? What? Blue Lantern modules. My ticket in. What is this? Wait, huh? What do we, huh? Product modules, VCO modules, VCF, percussion, MIDI conversation, synthesizer, distributors, about, contact, blog, more. Product modules. Euro format. Okay, so where's basics? Oh boy, navigating this is this is a chore. I just want information about this thing. Where's basics? Oh man, Control F. Basics. That is not, no, that's not it. Voltage control oscillator modules, basics. Oh, I'm getting so sick of this. Filter, I think maybe percussion? No, I guess it's not. Oh my God. This is getting very frustrating. I would just love a little bit of information about this with a search. Synthesizer? Oh, that's just everything. $64. This is the whole thing. This is their own whole thing. Yeah. It's got a bunch of stuff on it. Okay, that's not what we're looking for. It's not MIDI conversion. Come on. It's not a filter though. I don't think. I guess it doesn't. It has an LR output. I might have to just put this one aside and move on because this is just not what I'm not finding the right stuff. I mean, we had all the files for it here, but oh, that's right. We're running Tim Church's Dead Man's Catch alternative firmware. Tim Church's Dead Man's Catch. Okay, hold on. We got to look this up. Oh, and I can't highlight it properly. Don't download it again. Oh, production files and bill of materials. So I know like nothing about this. Dead Man's Catch. Yeah, I remember this now. This is a beta release of Dead Man's Catch, which is modified firmware for mutable instruments peaks. So peaks is what we were looking for. What does peaks look like? What does it look like to peak? You're looking at it. You're looking at it. This is peaks. There was no way in hell that I would attribute this to being the module that I have in front of me. But I guess these people made a version of it where you can use control voltages. One day an AI image search is going to make this super easy to find. If I put this image into AI and said, find this, if there were pictures of this, it might be able to find something like it, but it's going to come up with gobbledygook. It's not going to come up with anything useful because this is such a departure from the actual look of the module. I don't think it would be very good at identifying knobs and buttons and inputs. I don't think there's enough relevant, pertinent data to contribute this front panel layout to this image. Maybe with like a commercial module, it might be able to do something like that. But yeah, okay, so we have the Tim Church's blah 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 blah. It's come to my attention that hardware version 3 or later of Peaks module uses firmware calibration of the null point output voltage rather than 2 physical trim pots as used in earlier versions. None of the firmware code required to support firmware calibration has been incorporated into the current version of Dead Man's Catch. That's obnoxious. Therefore, installation of Dead Man's Catch on the version of the Peaks module which lack trim pot on the back of the PCB is not recommended. Well, shit. Well. If it isn't my old friend, Failure. Did we tune this at all? I don't think we did. There's no trim pot. Although this is a rehash of the design, but it doesn't have, it looks like it doesn't have physical trimming. So, yeah, it is kind of a hold my beer where it's like, well, you know, you can say all you want, I'm still going to do it. So, if you install DMC Dead Man's Catch version 0.7 or earlier, when was this announcement made? Because we did this stuff a little while back. Earlier version 3 Peaks, and you wish to reinstall factory Peaks firmware, the recalibration procedure for factory firmware is as follows. It is not documented on the Mutable Instruments website. To enter a calibration mode, power the module on with the second button pressed. The first and second knobs, third and fourth. I hate it when they... First and second knobs, third and fourth. Are you counting from up here or are you counting from down here? Which is the first and second? Come on. The brilliance of technical language and how to say things specifically is often lost on people playing around on the internet. The release of Dead Man's Catch adds several capabilities to the standard Peaks firmware. It unlocks hidden envelope modes, which Amelia Gillette, the owner and principal developer at Mutable Instruments, put into the Peaks firmware from the outset. A double attack envelope, a repeating attach envelope, a looping on. Oh my God, I don't know what any of this stuff is. Okay, let's power this thing on. We know it's okay, and we'll power on the scope as well. Now my scope just leaps into action. I've hit the power button on it, which is why it's gone green. You can barely see that that's green. And the Rygal logo splashes up onto the screen as this thing just fires out of the gate, ready for action, instantly powering itself into a state where it can be used completely right off the bat, absolutely instantly into action, is just ready to go at the drop of a hat. It's a big drop for the hat. It's kind of a... Oh, there we go. Ready to go. I ran the calibration on this when it was all up to temperature. So this is ready to go. We got our new calibrated big fan on the back to get rid of all that excess heat. We need to hook this thing up to test it. Now, the ins and outs of Peaks versus Basics. Is there documentation on the original module? This guy. Where do you have Basics? I don't think they sell it. I think that's what's going on, is they don't have like a page here. So they get rid of that page, and then I don't have documentation on the thing. I gotta learn this stuff, man. What? I want to click here. Oh my God. No, I don't. Stop it. There we go. Oh no, that just downloads the production files. And it's already in there. Core Basics, Panel Basics, Picks, Basics, Lay 6, README before ordering. That doesn't, no, let's see what that is. This product can only be programmed using an FTDI. Use this one. No, I use my own. This is TXRX and ground, the 3-pin single header. Remember, you're working in 3.3 volt environments. Make sure the FTDI is 3, not 5 volts. You also need 2-pin single row headers with a jumper installed, or you can solder bridge them. These are to initiate, reset, and flash. I have a bin full of those jumpers. We used to use them on computers. Huh. The bill of materials and then the core. There's no like usage or build guide, huh? Yeah, these are the PCB authoring files. Ah, stop it. Ah, stop it. Stop it. Stop. Every time I put my mouse onto the web page, it's opening up the entirety of this menu because the menu is apparently busted. Now it's not doing it. What the heck, man? So, Blue Lantern store is here. I guess survival is what we were originally in. Oh wait, if I just click back. MIDI, synthesizer, percussion, VCO, pound, survival. But survival is gone. That web page seems to be gone. Unless they start talking about basics way down here. DIY braids. This is a modified version of Mutable Instruments braids. Below are the PCB files. The parts use the same. I recently had enhanced rings, grains, warps. Where's basics? I just want to know about basics, man. DIY enhanced MIDI to CV converter. I could actually use that. I could use that. 12 HP version DIY rings module. warp module, gains, ornaments and crimes. Here's a modified version of peaks. That would be, yeah, known as basics. It adds CV to the knob parameter. This is using the latest peaks firmware created before being discontinued. This version does not have trimmers like the very first peaks PCB release. This software, oh, this has the software-based calibration, the very thing that we were warned not to add. The alternative firmware by Tim Church is compiled into hex format. You need an FTDI programmer to upload this version of the 0.7 beta. Some stuff I noticed, LFO wave shapes have more aliasing compared to the OEM firmware Peaks 1.1. It does sound cool, but if you want perfection and smooth, the OEM firmware 1.1 is for you. Okay, so there basically most of this is being described as just being a Peaks. But if I compare this to this, oh, no, that's wrong, to this, I'm not seeing a whole lot of similarity. Let's move the scope over. I didn't round the scope edges yet. So we've got the LEDs here. There is a button with an LED below it, labeled split. Spool in my case. Hold on. Go here. The f-stop, it's like just between two f-stops. It's blurry on one, it's blurry on the other. So I have split, and then I have my mode, and then envelope, LFO, tap, and drum. So envelope, LFO, tap, drum. Now there's a lot more to that. And then there's another button here that's not on the other module. That's fantastic. These two have buttons. Wait a minute. And there's an out 1 and an out 2. So 1 and 2. And then I guess there's CVs. These all 4 are outs. Those are other things. And then these are the CV controls. And there's 4 controls. What's the other 4? Okay, let's look at the labels on the other one. We got to like figure out all the... this sucks. This sucks. I got to figure out how this thing works. Just show me the image. No. All right. So those are the CV inputs. We've got a level, a base frequency. So I guess, what is this? This is 2 levels of trim for it, or the amount of effect and the level of the effect. All right, so let's start this off. In order to test these, I'm going to be putting them on the oscilloscope. I'm not going to be listening to the outputs because I really don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just learning this stuff for the first time, and we want to get these modules all tuned up and into a system so that I can start playing with the system and actually make sounds with the system. So these are individually tested, and we're going to be working at modular synthesizer levels, but we're going to be viewing it on the oscilloscope. So I have a left and a right channel on the oscilloscope that I could do with 2 different traces. We just tuned up the O-scope, so it should be raring to go. And in this setup, I have my distribution and my split operations for viewing stuff. And then we've got a waveform generation here, which we can also use as like an envelope. I may need to pull in another module in order to make some of the signals that we'll need to get this thing, you know, tuning away. Let's figure it out though. Let's first off get the scope hooked up. Now to hook up the scope, I got a couple different cables here that I bought that are very useful, and they are BNC to mono 3.5 millimeter jacks. The modular synthesizer setups live and die on this jack. The mono 3.5 millimeter tip ring plug. So I have these, they go to BNC. The ring is ground and the tip is the signal. And that's why these things, these modular synthesizers that you see people using are just a big, crazy mess of wires. So what I'm doing is I'm plugging it into, well, actually I don't need to plug it into the stereo one. No, that's wrong. I'm going to plug each of these into their own little distribution thing, because whenever we want to look at a signal, we also want to send it somewhere else. That just allows me to do that. And then I can sneak these wires back behind everything, and we'll have a slightly neater setup as a result. Ever so slightly neater. I should put something up here that holds onto wires. That'd be kind of neat. Just like a little boot or something I can get a zip tie on. So, first of all, we need a trigger on this thing. 5-in-1, what's that? I love how it never fails. Chad will just say something and I'll have no idea what they're talking about because there's no context or anything. I don't know what that is. Ugh, I don't want this to become a bird's nest, but it is going to end up. Hey, Copper, what's up? All right, so I'm just going to sneak those over there. So the first thing, we'll just test to see that this thing is working. 2 cables, 2v1, aka stereo. The 4-in-1 cables are actually microphone as well. All right, so with, oh, I got the jumpers over here. They're under a pile of stuff. Turn on, main screen, turn on. Okay, I've got 6 signals coming out of this. I don't really have a good trigger coming out of it, but we can take a look at what some of these signals are and of course get the scope to work with it. So I want to make sure that channel 1 is the top one. So let's flip these. Operator, feels like I'm working a telephone grid. Oops, and then I plug it into the wrong thing. Oh my God, what the hell is that? So let's zoom out a little bit on that. And give us a little bit more time on the screen here. There we are. Oh, diabetic cramps. My hands are starting to become claw-like. Okay, so yeah, this scope gets pretty close in there, huh? It's a good scope. I'm a little pissed off because the logic input on this thing is LVDS, a low voltage dual signal. So LVDS signals go into that for the logic thing. And in order to get 0 to 5 volt or 0 to 3 volt logic running on it, I need an adapter. The adapter sells for $400. $400. So you can DIY it though. So one day we will actually go down that project road of building a logic input to my scope. But it's annoying that I have to do that. 5-in-1, preamp, compressor, de-esser, expander, gate, and EQ. Well, that's what I have on my microphone right now. The de-esser is fun. I can say S's all day and my amplitude will start going down. You can kind of tell when there's a little too much de-essing going on. Okay, so that's 1 waveform, 2 waveforms, 3 waveforms, 4 waveforms, 5 waveforms. That, oh yeah, that's supposed to be noise. Hey, this thing actually all works. Before I would, yeah, weird effects of putting my hand sort of close to it. The screen doesn't work anymore. I guess you can't have it all. That's great. Hey, everything works on this. Perfect. We could potentially slow down one of these waveforms in order to make it work properly for us. Let's get channel 2 all configured. We'll go into a normal waveform for that. A nice sine wave in these troubling times. Okay, I lied. It's not a sine wave. This one's a sine wave. Hello, sine wave. A nice calming sine wave. So if we get a sine wave out of this thing here, we can send it in as a control voltage. It's too fast for a control voltage. Let's slow down 2 of the channels on this thing and make it actually like, we'll do an LFO and a trigger. So the trigger will be greatly spaced out. It'll be a much longer thing. I don't know if I have a pulse timing in the software, but let's find our program first. So this is module tester. Waiting on the signal. Let's go. I use the old Arduino IDE. I need to upgrade it to the newer one. I tried to upgrade to the newer one and it broke. It just didn't get past the splash screen. So I'm just sitting here with my old crap. But we did the Arduino ESP Twitch pub sub thing with that. The framework, that means that I can throw ESPs out and just have them do physical things in the shop based on stuff you guys do with Twitch. Open recent. Module tester. So the online tools let you route the signals to the different A, B, C, and D outputs. We don't need to use the online thing. We can just sort of rearrange what's going where on this. So we've got, where is that thing? TNC audio, minimum UI, testing and drawing. So we're going to redo that. So triangle, saw, square. So instead of square, we're going to have pulse. 6 is supposed to be DC. I don't think we had that. I think it's 6 is the alternative. There's the sawtooth front and back. There's this one, and then it's this one and this one are just two. Oh, you guys can't. Hold on. Let me put the scope up here. Let's put the scope up. Scene, frame, less scope. Well, it looks like it. Did I do that in the frame or did I do that? I did that in the effects on the thing. So I guess in the frame less, it's got a frame. I should rename that. So the two, there's this triangle and then this triangle. I didn't do a DC level. Bother makes beats. Bother beats. Wait, no, that sounds like I'm beating somebody up. So it's one is, these are not the right ones. It's, this one is reverse sawtooth. I don't know if these are the right channels. Actually, yeah, the channels are arranged funny, so I think they may be out of order. Well, anyway, that's what I meant to have. But let's go to where they're actually being assigned. I don't care about comments. He says, shooting himself in the foot. Bouncer, update display, update waveforms. The bouncer. Button up, button down, button left, button right. I haven't put the button functionality in there yet. I don't have the butt function, but I could make them change around the waveforms. Yeah, see, there's like, oh, this isn't the complete one. This is something else. This is not what I was looking for. Okay, this isn't the right piece of software. I didn't finish writing that one. Desktop. Stream project. Module tester, module test tester. My naming scheme could use a little bit of an overhaul. 213.25, 1129.24. So this is the old, this is the fully functional one, and this is me doing bit by bit. Local church decided to get into audio over Ethernet, but specifically analog audio, not like Dante, where it can be sent through a normal Ethernet switch. Oh, I worked for a company called Aviom, and they do their own proprietary AV net. They're really good, and you can buy them from churches now, because all the churches are upgrading their stuff. I found a bunch over eBay, and I was thinking about making my audio in here use AV net. It would have to be its own wires and stuff, but then it would be like dedicated audio channels. I decided instead to use the Rodecaster with the lav mics. CobraNet was another audio over IP pre-Dante. The Aviom stuff is weird because it has 3 clocks in it. And there was some research paper that they found where you have 2 clocks to help you sync up, and then like a noise injection. You would inject noise into the system that would somehow allow it to sync up all of the clocks across all the devices. Very strange. I didn't understand when I read the term paper about it. So this big block right here comes from the online audio system editor. Did I leave it in the comments? No, I didn't. This just the worst programmer in the world. The minimal module mixer testing, minimum module tester, minimum module. And yes, the Yaks have gone fractal. I'm keeping that in there. I always put like all the links and stuff that I would need to refresh myself on the project up top. But the Teensy Audio is a really cool little system. It basically lets you wire stuff up, kind of like Node-RED. Huh, funny. You can wire stuff up and then it'll generate code blocks that you put into the program. So I've done that, and I've got the code blocks here. This basically shows where all the wires are hooked up. So audio synth waveform, audio noise. And then you've got your audio outputs and then patch cords. So the waveform 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 2 is on this one. I don't know why it's rearranged this way, but whatever. So we need to assign waveforms to waveforms 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Wait, 4, 5. Oh. Waveform DC, DC1. Why isn't it DC? Ramen is edible wires. Well, what you do is you wet the dries, and then you dry the wets, and then you wet the dries, and then you dry the wets, and then you wet the dries. Print line vin, int vin, put your main here. This isn't complete either. Son of a... File open. This one is not complete either. Keyboard revision. I've got a bunch of folders with these programs in it because I kept restarting because I kept getting overwhelmed. Why is this not viewed as a list? Jeez. Probably because I was looking for a picture. Mixed panel, module tester, 2 of those, but then there's also module test PNG, diode ladder, schematic trace, keyboard revision, M303, mil mods, channel point fart node. At some point, I redid my file server, and the Unix or whatever all the permissions went whack. All the Windows SMB share. Maybe you never completed it. Maybe I programmed it and uploaded it and then walked away from stream, and then my computer reset because it's Windows and Windows sucks. Did it get into something it shouldn't have? It might have gotten into a folder it wasn't supposed to get into. No, maybe not. I have both of these programs open and they're both wrong. No, why is that in a different view? Okay, I hate this. I hate it. Those are all the thumbnails for YouTube. YouTube requires thumbnails, and it looks more professional when I use them. So it's like another little chore that I have to do before I actually stream. Yeah, none of these are what I'm looking for. Okay, what about back here? No, none of that's relevant. Yeah, weird. File open recent. And those 2 are the ones we have open. That's really weird. I'm baffled now. Somehow this wasn't the one that I used and the other one wasn't the one that I used. What did I use to program this Arduino? Okay, so instead of doing that, I guess we'll just deal with it normally. Well, no, I need that slow trigger. I need something that'll come in and not at audio frequencies, you know, set a pulse, and then I need a low frequency oscillator so that we can, you know, see the knobs are being twisted back and forth properly. So I need these low waveform things. So let's just see what we got going on here. Serial begin, serial speed, pin mode. One of these has working screen code. All right, let's look on the file server and figure out, it shouldn't be older, but I guess maybe I've tried to rewrite it a couple times so that it's functional. The other one had the buttons on it, but it didn't have that DC. So I'm looking for something that doesn't have DC. So let's go to my project on the file server. I need to fix the SMB permissions, and I don't really know how to do it. One of these days I'll go through it and make sure that it works again, and I'll have that functionality back. But this machine has limited accessibility to the file server. Hey, Lawn Dog, how's it going? Let's see, where are we? We're in Stream Projects, and should be synthesizer, yes, synth, and then display, Hajiwo output screen menu. That might be it. Speak and spell, steer mixer, no. This is where a lot of our information is going to come from. Basics panel, 4060. We're looking for stuff related to the module tester so that I can get this thing, give this thing the two other signals that we need in order to effectively test modules. These look familiar. Oh, this is where I was playing with OLED menus. That's not going to work. Simply put, that's not going to work. Where did my software go? That's what I'm wondering. Maybe you never completed it. It had to have saved somewhere because I uploaded it onto the Arduino. Maybe I ruined the program and some of the other... Yeah, I can't create a sketch folder because I can't save onto this thing. You just humor me and open it up, please? Jeez. Serial speed, waveform begin. Oh, I think I see what's going on. But here I've got stuff for V in, so I don't know what's going on there. What the heck? Why would I do this? Yeah, sine, sawtooth reverse, square, triangle. That's where I'm assigning them. Audio memory 20. But there's nothing about the screen here. The program that works is the one that's doing stuff with the screen. So screen font, but change is equal to 0. Channel. Full frame buffer. Okay, pin mode. Pin up. That's right, left. Update the bouncers, update the display, but then nothing is happening here. If is change, and then there's nothing. There should be like a hello world or something like that that's being written to the screen. Why would it do this? That's how I program. Yeah. Why did I do this is what is really the default for me. Why did I do this? That's really strange how I've got two programs. One of them appears to do everything that I wanted to do, except this one doesn't do anything with the screen. It does nothing with the screen. This one does something with the screen, but it looks like I've sort of picked it apart and I've made it. I didn't finish picking it apart. I'm not going to vibe code it. I'm not going to throw it into Chat GPT. I really don't want to do that. See, I'm like setting the screen font, but then I never set text to the screen. So clearly this isn't the right one, and I don't think I overwrote anything that I would do. This is I'm getting very confused about my module tester. That's for the solenoid. That's a different program. This one is the other one where serial flash test and then just stops there. So there's possibly another naming scheme where I have it called something else, but I don't see any files. Twitch graphics, thumb, solenoid skeleton, module, test, mix. Mil mods, M303, and the keyboard revision, then the ESP node skeleton, the channel point fart node. Did I leave something else in another folder instead of, because I made that stream thing because things were getting kind of messy in here. Not in here, on the desktop. Not that, nope. Images, stream projects, that's a backup of the database. The mutable environment is there. That's just stuff. Recording, scans, super slicer, temp prints, and then no code on the desktop. That's what I was trying to clean up. All right, so now we got to go through these, I guess. Just in case something went to the wrong folder. We already looked through there. This is just server, or it's burn the subs. Notes on updates, oh boy. Oh no, this is actually Android Auto Pancreas system stuff. Everything can find everything on your computer. I don't know, like there must have been a drag and drop issue. There's the database. Mutable environment, shouldn't have anything in there. Oh God, it's like a whole operating system. No, nothing there. Those are actually files that I might need to point OBS at. The recording directories, as I'm literally writing to that directory right now. Scans, why are you on here? You got nothing in you. You're gone. Super Slicer, no Arduino programs in there. Nothing. Temp prints, just 3 foot. Oh, that's really annoying if I've got to go back in and rewrite my program. It looks like that's the case though. I must have either saved over something or, well, that's got to be it, right? Yeah, that's messed up. I'm very disappointed in myself. Yeah, so what happened here is I programmed this module to work in the way that it does, and we got the software into it, and then in the interim, I tried to reprogram it to be more functional and have the buttons do something, and instead ended up destroying destroying my whole program in every single way. And I don't know what I was following in order to... Oh, this is what I was following. Nope, this is not what I was following. I did not use this one. I used a different one. Oh, it's such a pain in the butt putting a menu on something. I wanted to put a menu up on the screen so that I could change the outputs, which will eventually, you know, I'll eventually need to do that. But man, it's crazy out there. What the heck is that emote? Is this a waving? eSport 272. Oh, it's like a cursed hand. Oh man, come on. Okay, so this is just what I was talking about. This is one of those instances where you start and then you discover that something is all wrong and you have to shave a yak. We are currently, I think, on our second yak because I need these signals in order to test the modules. I need to have a periodic pulse and I need to have a slow rolling waveform. In addition to that, I also need a DC voltage level that's going to be like a C note, because sometimes you need to go between 2 voltage levels, which we did with the power supply, but I would rather have a doohickey that does it, right? We can get pulses out of a doohickey. although it would be better if we got our pulses out of this, I could plug in another module and get pulses out of that. Just things start to get kind of crazy. Also, the module that I would be plugging into this thing is untested. Some people are of a mind that tuning is not necessary for this kind of stuff, because this stuff is supposed to be a departure from what is typical and normal of creating music. It's not supposed to be structured and tuned. You're supposed to just go in there and make it your own. But I am an engineer, and I thrive off of structure. So I don't have enough room. I guess if I get rid of the attenuator. That means that everybody has to move over one. No, I should leave the attenuator in there. We'll just have a floating module. We'll just have a floating module. This Ornaments in Crime will give me the pulses that I need. It won't do the waveform output, but it'll give me pulses. And that'll allow me to put stuff up on the screen and we can actually analyze what we're seeing. I would eventually like to have testing stuff in this so that I could use the buttons here to change the DC level output. So I could have a DC level output that's at 10 volts and then negative 10 volts, and I can use that to tune VCOs. Anywho, let's get Ornaments and Crimes powered up. Since it's not the thing under testing, I power it with the lower row. Plug it in the right way too. That's always nice when you do that. I should probably turn this off while I do this. Just to be nice, just to, give it a little help. Really, I should have left a gap on this panel so that I could run the what do you call it? I could run the joules. No, so I could run power cables out of this or have an external plug. Oh yeah, this one uses a full bridge rectifier. That's what this is here. It's a device with 4 pins on the 4 corners of a big solid box. That is a full bridge rectifier. I think I stole it out of a power supply somewhere. And what this is doing is it enables you to plug this thing in either way. Because instead of being sent an AC waveform, it's just being sent DC and the diodes are used to route. It's a very clever use of a full bridge rectifier, although I think this is probably a little bit wasteful, but this is mostly a 5-volt device. The only thing that's using more than that are the operational amplifiers. So you can plug this thing in either direction and it's totally cool with it. Oh no, it's broken. No, I'm just kidding. Ornamentation and Crimes. Uncalibrated Ornamentation and Crimes. You guys will be seeing a flickering display, but I'm looking at a pretty nice little menu here. This is the calibrator, which I don't want to use. Can I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Can I just please start up? Can we? Damn you. What the hell? See, even this thing is uncalibrated. Stupid. Well, I guess resetting the Arduino is not the way to go. All right. I hit R. You guys saw me hit R. What the hell's an FBR? Okay. I want hemispheres because I guess the hemisphere is right and left. And then I want certain rights and certain lefts. So, game of life, gate delay. Yeah, gate delay 1,000. And then on the left side, here's our ebb and LFO. So we've got gates coming out Although gate, I think, is an input-output, so that might not work. Ebb and flow is this nice little waveform creator where I can choose the two different waveforms and their, their timing. So let us check what we have here with our second channel. Will's barking at something. Whoa, whoa. Not very much amplitude on that, but I why is that wait, that's 20 volts coming out of our, what's going on there? Dun dun. Why is that plus minus 20 volts? That is a hell of a lot of voltage. Obviously I can adjust it down, but this thing shouldn't be capable of creating 20 volts. Oh, because this is at 20. Oh, that's this channel. I see. There we go. Now it's plus and minus 10 volts. And you can see that our control voltage is going between 5 volts. Copper, what is an FBR? If you're even listening to what I'm saying, it's just come in here and say something weird and then leave. So that's an LFO. What about our gates? Yeah, they're, so this expects a gate to come in and then it'll delay it. So if no gate comes in, we don't get anything. Wait, what's going on here? Oh, it just turned off. Why did you just turn off? LED's on. It's probably better to have this thing in the rack so that I'm not touching it back here, because that made the whole thing just go and then not work. Boy, I never knew this stuff would be so... No! You freaking jag off. For polarity correction, the full bridge rectifier is there in order to route your plus and minus 12 to your plus and minus 12. Because if you plug it in either direction, the plus and minus 12 change places and all the grounds stay the same. Okay, hemisphere. Where are my hemispheres? I want my LFOs. Bugs. One of them, there's pictures of bugs on it. Okay, where are the... Oh my god, there's a lot of presets on this thing. That or I passed it and I didn't realize it. It's probably what happened. All right, I'm gonna put crimes in this. We need to put it in the little device, because if I'm gonna be flipping through channels like this, there's a lot of, like, I'm handling the circuit. Ow, that really hurt. Twitch is giving you 30 seconds. That is an immense amount of time. That's crazy. All right, let's put the crimes in here, because we need to use crimes, because I'm not gonna have a stream where I'm programming this thing. I need to program this and change stuff on it and make it a little bit more functional, because this, while crimes does similar stuff that I want in order to test modules, I need to pretty much hard code this thing to do these, like, basic testing things. What I really intended for that originally is to have self-calibrated modes, so that I could, instead of using the oscilloscope with everything, I would be able to tell it to calibrate itself and then, you know, like, give me the thumbs up when I hit the right note. Because there's a lot of bouncing around of notes when you calibrate these synthesizers. You have 2 seconds? 2 seconds is better than 30. Yeah, like, I need to know what a C note is, and so... And then I need to be able to output the voltage of a C note and know that that's accurate. So I do want to get to the programming of that device, because it'll be very, very useful indeed. I don't need the stereo adapter, because I'm not hooking up the speakers. The stereo adapter is weird though, because it doesn't attenuate. This goes directly out in full stereo. Why did I do that? Wait, why did I do that? Maybe that wasn't so smart. This thing can attenuate for speakers in stereo. I could have left and right. This is just an overall mix. This is just a bunch of resistors on the back of this thing. It'd be left and right on these two channels. And then I would use this in order to create the output. Yeah, so those aren't really necessary in this setup. our very, very basic setup. Basics can go, we'll have waveform generation over here, and the module under test, and then this is output. So this is all new to me, by the way. If you see me doing something weird or stupid, let me know. Any of you modular synthesizer people out there, sometimes we get them in here, but I don't think this is one of those times. I'm taking more of an engineering stance at this than your typical modular, than your musician would stance, because these modules originated as circuit boards, and so I do not know if the notes are the notes that they're supposed to be making. I could have messed it all up. I wouldn't know. So I'm basically, because this dragged on for so long, the module tester and the mixer project got in the way. I'm coming back to this and I'm making do with what I have. But it seems as though I need to spend a little time on the module tester. But that's computer time, programming time. Copper, no. Just no. There's a chart out there that is a note per volt versus note versus frequency chart. That's basically what I'd be following. And whatever specific C note standard you're talking about, I think isn't that more about how the waveform is created? It would be down to whatever the DAC is doing. It's going to be like a million years before he can reply. That delay is nuts. That really makes things hard to... Actually, 4 screws might be too much. Oh boy. Well, Crimes will get only 1. Ow! Poke my damn self. It's all this through-hole stuff. I can't believe Crimes is so sensitive. If I touch it wrong, it reboots. I'm glad I built this little Maker Beam stand, though, because that gets my fingers out of all the electronics, and it makes my desk a little bit cleaner as I move through this stuff. Oh, well, I don't know how I do that, to be honest. Yeah, so I would be Googling how to read a frequency into the Arduino. Teensy4 frequency sensing. Because, like, I don't know which one it uses. PWM, MQS, medium quality sound pulses, ADAT, USB. Does it have a, like, what is the frequency? Synth, wavetable, drum, string, sine. High-res sine. Oh, that's neat. Waveform modulation, PWM, tone sweep, DC noise, pink noise. These are effects. Filters. Analyze. Why are we always peaking? Root mean square. Audio analyze. FFT 256. So I think this is getting into what you were talking about. 256 and 1024. Note frequency. Here we go. Audio analyze note frequency. This is, I guess, what I'd use. Detect with fairly good accuracy. Fundamental frequency of musical notes such as electric guitars, blah, 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 written by Colin Duffy. The YN algorithm is used to detect frequencies. I don't know what that means as per what you were telling me. To do, the usual upper range of this object is not well known. It should go up to 1,000 hertz. So this is probably what I would end up default using. Oh, here's one that uses Goertzel algorithm. Technique in a digital signal processing for the evaluation of individual terms of the discrete Fourier transform. Useful in a certain practical applications such as recognition of dual tone multi-frequency. DTMF, I've worked actually quite a bit with DTMF. Produce push buttons on the keypad, traditional telephone, the analog is first screened by Goertzel. Like the down fuck to, the Goertzel algorithm analyzes one selectable frequency component from a discrete signal. Yeah, so this would actually be more towards what I would need, because what I'd be doing is generating a single tone. I'm not trying to get a full Fourier analysis of a signal. I want to dial in on that one tone and get the exact frequency of that tone. Because that's how you tune these things. You bring it to a low note and a high note, and you keep going back and forth and adjusting as you go. So having one button to switch that frequency from one known note to another known note, and then analyzing, what's coming back, that would be pretty important to do. It's all just Fourier transforms all the way down. I know, it's like layered Fourier. But yeah, that apparently is what I would be using in order to make the module tester function properly. And then I can also tune like the waveforms and stuff like that internally with a system like that. So I've got a whole schematic for the thing on how it would route itself around and do its own little self-check. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But right now, what I really would have liked to do is find the skeleton of this program so that I could switch some of these to being those LFOs and those gate signals, because we need gate signals in order to trigger the drum machine. Why does it do that? It's like, hey, you better change this or else I'll go into calibration. It's insisting that I calibrate it, and I don't have the means by which to calibrate it right now. Okay, so hemispheres. I wish I could change the frame rate on this thing, but there's our LFO. Now, can I find something that's going to send out like a gate signal? Because if we look at what's coming out right now, this will be the yellow channel. Why is that changing? There's like some noise that's being injected into this thing. Oh, metronome? Nope. All these are inputs to the channels, and I don't have anything to input to it other than waveforms. Let's come on in here. I know it's a lot to look at. How do we stabilize the screen before? Oh, by having a lot of light. MIDI out, mixer, multi-scale. A lot of these rely on inputs. These are like functions that happen when you have inputs going crazy. What I need is something to set just the pulse out periodically. Rand walk? No. There is a... Oh, this is a scope. How useful. Some kind of sequencer that relies on a beat coming into it. I could make a beat with the other one, but I'd really rather have an LFO and some kind of a sequencer going on. That's doing nothing, though. There's nothing coming out of that. Not even a little bit. No, I want to get out of this. What? Oh my God. Okay. It's hard to like get to know this set of programs. Why is it out of focus again? Did I bump the camera? I must have bumped the camera. Oh, that's real trippy. It like stays in place. There, okay. There we go. Stay in focus. Oh, you know what it was? As I was operating it, I bet I pushed it backwards. All right. I need something, and if we look at the other output, we'll see there's the low frequency oscillation going on. It's low frequency, sort of mid voltage, lazy output, right? It's the thing that's doing this, twisting the knobs back and forth. I need something that's going to set off a trigger. Switch sequencer. It's not doing anything. Yeah, I am looking at this channel. Okay. One of you guys has a neural network. What the hell are you doing? That needs an input. Trigger 8x2? No. Trigger. Tuner? Oh, this is for, oh, that's nice. Yeah, this does have a lot of the functions that I would need in order to tune modules on it already. I would rather have my own hardware though, because it would be a little bit more direct. And this is a little limiting. If I had more crime modules, binary counter, no. Brancher, bug crack. Wait, go back to bug crack. 45 hertz bug cracker. Well, nothing's happening on the screen. Burst. No, I don't think that's doing it. Yeah, it requires an input, doesn't it? Nope. Button 2. What? When I push it, nothing happens. What are you doing? It's like saving. What does that even mean? Calculate min-max, calibrate. I think we've gone around once. I think we've been to every single thing that it does. Cumulus. There's gotta be something. There's gotta be just like an output. Nope. Oh, hand's hurting from this. Oh, let's just check if it works. Yeah, okay, it does work. It is actually outputting. Oh, that's not going negative, is it? Oh, that's because it's this wave. I see. Okay, it's that wave. That waveform doesn't go negative. That's a positive one. This one is a sawtooth that goes positive and negative. So if I switch it to this channel, see that goes positive and negative. And then by comparison, the rate that was going versus this, that's audio frequency. And this one is just a lazy, this one's just a lazy back and forth. It's a little fast, but okay. Back to this channel. There had to be, no. See, I feel like it's gate delay, but I have a feeling that what'll happen is if I put like a square wave into dude. It's not doing anything. What the heck? Oh, into the trigger channel maybe. Yeah, there. See, there's the gate delay of 1,000 milliseconds, I guess. But that's not what we want. I mean, that would be some kind of a crunchy thing to put into like a waveform generator. It's not going to be Sandstorm, but it will do something. But that's okay. That one requires an input. Voltage controlled amplifier. No. Logic. I need 2 signals for that. Lower rens. I thought metronome would be it. But nothing's happening here. What is it supposed to do? It's at 120 BPM. That's like bump, 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 bump. Why do you forsake me? Yeah, I do not know how to use that. That's so weird. MIDI in, I don't have any MIDI. How does that work? There's like a headphone standard for MIDI. Multi-scale. You gonna output anything, or do I shut it off or something? No, it's again, it utilizes the input. Palimpsest. What the heck? What is that? What does that even mean? Play us out. Okay, so I got a bar and a bar. Don't know. I just don't know. There's somewhere I need to look up hemispheres and what they do. Pigeons. I don't see any pigeons going on here. Pigeon 6. 2%. Nope, I have no idea what I'm doing. Divide? No. No. Problem melody, reset clock. Again, these probably require some type of trigger. So there is a trigger signal. That looks like it's 8 volts coming off of this. When I plug in the LFO to the trigger, when it reaches its threshold of 8 volts, it's setting off the reset clock at God knows what frequency. So we've now generated a trigger signal. That only took me an hour. Jeez. So now I have a trigger and an LFO. Okay, we're getting somewhere. And then my dog starts barking. Now we can look back at basics. So basics is the same thing as plates, right? Peaks, sorry, it's peaks. So we're rounding it back. We're circling back to the stuff that we were looking at before. So we have a peaks module, which has a front panel that looks, because there's no other information out there about this thing, which is fascinating to me. You know, people spend hundreds of dollars to buy these things, and there's like nowhere to learn about what you're supposed to do. So peaks, we have a modified peaks module that has control voltage inputs. Everything is kind of shuffled around, right? And we have an extra button. This one. No, these are the 2 trigger buttons. Okay, so this is not an extra button. This is split. This is mode. This indicates the mode that we're in. This is trigger that channel, trigger that channel. So these are split as our left and right sort of things, right? So then we have control voltage inputs on these knobs, and somewhere along the line, these knobs are supposed to affect what the output waveforms are. So I guess, you know, the stereo stuff could come into play here later on. But so if we have our trigger coming from here and we put it into the trigger here, we see it doing stuff. Boof, boof, boof. And we look at the output on one channel. And actually what we can do is split our trigger here, and we can get the scope to trigger off of that. So we get the scope to trigger off of that, and then we plug, we're already looking like a weird beard modular synthesizer head. Boom, boom, boom. And yet, nothing is happening over here. Hello, computer? Hello, computer. Why is my scope stupid? Oh, the BNC cables they're nice and cool. They're not hot to the touch. That's nice. The scope is running much better than it used to because it's got a huge fan. So, okay, something is happening here. Is it my splitters that are messed up? What the deuce? So this is the output. This is our triggered input. We're creating a pulse here. Doosh, doosh, dooge, dooge. And so we're outputting it here. Ah, it was an amplitude thing. What? The LED is indicating to me what the output is. Is that a trigger output? And this is the actual waveform. Yeah, that's the actual waveform. Okay. I don't know what this thing is doing. It's an offset of some kind. So let's bring our time way up. Kick, kick, kick. Okay. Now, why isn't it visible on channel 1? Yeah, it still works when I plug it in this way. All of the channels work on this. I mean, it's just like they're all just soldered together, so. Bump, bump, bump. And then this does the different parameters of it. Although I'm not seeing anything happening there. Let's change modes, maybe. Whoa. So yeah, the tuning of this. Oh my God, what the hell is going on there? Cool. Okay, so we've got some operation of basics sort of figured out. There's a little nastiness that comes in at the very beginning there. And these sine waves look pretty good. I hope they sound good. I would need to plug this thing in order to get output that we could listen to. For now, we're just looking at waveforms. And then if I wanted to put an LFO in, I could change, for instance, what was that one? This was like a, that's not doing anything. Oh, okay. So the second knob is the effect, the amount that the CV affects the channel. So if I turn that way up, it still does nothing. Hold on. What the heck? Come on, let's get something that actually like messes with it, huh? Okay, so this, I can have it change that parameter back and forth slowly. If I give it a lot of effect, it'll then really move that knob back and forth. Yeah, it looks great, but it probably sounds like hell. It's probably just like... This is more just like a voltage level, though. It's so strange. Because it really, like, if it was audio, it would look like ... Yeah, it would look like this, right? That's audio. That's audio. God knows what this is. This is a control voltage gone crazy. So you would put that into like an LFO, and it would go blah, 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 blah. But really, this is not supposed to be doing that. It's supposed to be creating like a beat noise, like a boomf. Although I'm using it for this purpose, and that could actually make some interesting sounding stuff. But again, none of this stuff is tuned. I'm having, troubles with that tuning. If I unsplit, what happens? Weird. So we're really supposed to be seeing something a little bit different on this. So let's get the LFO off of there. And let's see, we're looking at that. That's triggering that going to there. This is, yeah, there. That's more like what we should be seeing out of this thing. It's got an attack and a decay. So if I turn the attack all the way up, or if I turn it all the way down, nope, it doesn't do anything. I'll turn all the CV effects down. And then this one is RV. I'm looking at what these do. Let's look at what we've got going on here. Multifunction gap filler, dual trigger to signal converter in the package. There's PDF features 4-in-1, ADSR envelope generator, LFO and tap tempo LFO. Huh. 5 basic waveforms, square, triangle, signs, stepped random. Waveform variations and morphing for each of these. PWM, slope, folding, harmonic, step size, interpolated. Phase at reset control, tap LFO can lock into irregular rhythms. So apparently I should be able to tap a BPM on this thing and it'll give me some kind of like a trigger output for something else. I was just using it to make like marching drums. Everything I made was like marching drum style. Channel 1, 808 kick model with extra parameters. Channel 2 is an 808 snare model with tune decay. A specific combination of settings transform the snare to model 808 hi-hat. Twin. Channel 1 and 2 share the same parameters but can be triggered independently. Split. Channel 1 is edited by knobs 1 and 2. Channel 2 edited by knobs 3 and 4. I guess it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's split. And then expert, channel 1 and 2 are completely independent. So if I split, that means that it's these and these. So I was like all of these, nothing was happening. Well, this isn't doing anything anyway. Oh, here we go. Okay. So that's the decay. Pew, pew, pew. Bup, bup, bup. Okay. And this would be the CV coming in, so you don't see it doing anything until I actually give it an LFO into this one. And now they get longer and shorter. But we were not seeing that because I've got this one all the way down. So the effect of this LFO on this channel is turned all the way down. If I turn up the effect, it'll get more prominent that things are kind of changing as they come in. But those are creating my gate. These are creating my gate. They're in sync with one another, which means it's always going to have the same effect because it's all timed together. And then if I want to flip over to the other channel, this should be doing something similar. If I turn up the decay, turn down the decay, turn up the decay. Yeah, hold on. Oh, it was this one that affected it, but this one's real short. I think that's by design. Yeah, there's a little bit of an effect. Yeah, hold on. Oh. No, I got that one all the way up. I guess that one's just supposed to be like a snare, so it's a very quick waveform. Yeah, if I could print some stickers for this. I don't know, the sticker printer doesn't stick to 3D prints very well. I really need like a branding machine. Micro letter branding machine. if I sand it so it's super smooth. Oh my God. Hot stamping machine. Do you guys have a hot stamping machine? That would work for all of my synthesizer stuff. That would be great. Just get this huge machine. Or do you not have this? Is it just this? I think it's just the letterhead. 10 centimeters is way too tall though. That's this size. Now let's see, hold on, where's my ruler? Where's my ruler? Yeah, 10 is way too tall. That's this size. That's bigger than this text. I would need it to be like 5. 5 would be tough to fit, but it would still work. Did you calculate the BPM? That's crazy. You guys are crazy. Color, Microsoft Elegant. So what is this called? This is called a custom logo, brass alphabet letter stamps. Brass alphabet letter stamps. Let's see if we can find that. Just lightning fast interface. 230, are you kidding me? Holy crap. $70. 5 centimeters though. That's 70 bucks. It would be $70 to label everything though. That could label all of my synthesizer things. I would have to learn how to use it too. Looks like another $60 product, a soldering iron literally just attached to the brass. Get an actual brand. I could maybe make that work. These might be way too big though. It is lowercase and capital. Ugh, it's so expensive though, and they would look like crap. Look at where that K is. Why is that down like that? And the G versus the F, what's going on there? Why is it messed up? Oh, it's upside down. The K isn't, and it's offset. It's not a good font. It's not a good font. That's a lot of money though. I don't know. I'm not gonna do that. That's a lot of money for what might not work very well. I could probably drill a hole in it and, are they mirrored? Is that what's going on? So weird. But in like the handle block, if that's brass, that's a lot of brass. The brass block, I could maybe put a 3D printer heater and a temperature sensor on it. Give it a little temperature control so it gets right to the right to where it can manipulate PETG, and that way I can heat it up and press it onto the front panels. That's fascinating. Yeah, some are mirrored. K is mirrored and upside down. F is backwards for some reason. If you flipped, yeah, F is mirrored. You can't flip it over. What? What the what? There's a working linotype machine at the System Source Computer Museum in Maryland. If you ever saw one run. Oh, that sounds awesome. X is mirrored. Oh, this one? Why is it like this? X, I think you could flip. No, but then it would have thick parts on it. No, that's... Z is also... What is going on with this? This is weird. I have to assume that they get it right on the real thing. Let's see what the comments say. The Blue Day. Product is perfect and complete. Awesome alphabet set, easy to use and align. I was hesitant to buy it first, very satisfied. Can somebody please comment on the images? 1 star. I clearly asked if the hole would fit in my hot iron, and I was told yes. Well, the hole in the stamping they sent me is too big. Come on, man. I guess you attach it to an iron? Okay. This is not cheap and I can't use it now. Think a little bit, man. You can figure that out. Come on. Just use your brain. Very disappointed. I needed for an urgent job. It finally arrives. They missed the locks. Huh? Oh, they didn't send the two locks on either side. Wish they were double. They included double O's, E's, A's, and C's, so you can form a word that needs 2 A, E, and O. Now I need to start a second. Overall good quality. A little bit difficult to line up by hand. Easy to use, well made. Interesting. Yeah, the image is just bad. Still, $70. I would need to invent my own heater to go with it too. That would get up to PETG temps. I have all the parts for that. I have all the parts I would need for that. Do I have a heater controller? I don't think I have a PID. One of those little PID boxes. I used to have a bunch of them. But then I would be able to stamp 5mm labels on these. Because doing them in the printer can't quite handle 5mm. Yeah, what tariffs would there be? If it's already in their warehouse, then I don't think it would get tariffed. We're not quite at that point yet. Why did my... Oh, that's a YouTube comment. Right, sorry. All right. Well, we're getting there. Now, tuning the module. We don't have the one with the tuning stuff on it. So can we sort of make our way through that? Uses firmware calibration of the null point output voltage, rather than 2 physical trim pots as was used in earlier versions. None of the firmware code required to support that firmware calibration has been incorporated. If you have installed DMC 0.7 or earlier, you may wish to reinstall. We have a later version though, I thought. I think. Oh, 0.7 beta. So 0.7 or earlier, that's every version? Where's Dead Man's Catch? Log, mutated mutables. Mutables alternative firmware changes. There we go. And that's a catalog of alternative firmware. And there's nothing in here. What? Hey. Where is this page on their GitHub? DMC version 7 beta. It's under their releases. Oops, sorry. Wiki, that's where it would be. Doink. I see, so they put that into the wiki. Dead Man's Catch 0.7 beta. Okay, so that's the latest version. So our version of a CVable, here's a modified version of Peaks by Emily. This version is known as Basics. It adds CV to each knob parameter. This is using the last Peaks firmware created before being discontinued. The version does not have trimmers, like the very first Peaks PCB release. This has software-based calibration. Tim Crutch's alternative compiled into hex. You need FTDI in order to upload the hex. This is version 0.7 beta, Some stuff that I noticed, LFO wave shapes have more anti-aliasing. It does sound cool, but if you want perfection and smooth, OEM firmware 1.1 is for you. I don't know if their version of 0.7 beta has digital tuning on it. It probably doesn't. How do I get into the tuning mode for the digital tuning? So, and their store page is gone. These are all the labels for this stuff. Sustain wave, decay waveform. This is, if you don't use it split, you have all these crazy controls for the thing. This is a lot in a module. This module's crazy. So how do we get into the digital tuning mode for the 0 thing? I saw a note on it and I don't know where it went. I think that was in the Mutable Instruments site, right? $250 was made by a dubious CM in the US, only a small fraction of which have been sold. I don't know how many, you know, man, isn't that crazy? If you could build a synthesizer and get some idea of how many units you're going to sell, I would love that. I wonder, because like with this mixer module that Julian and I are making, like I don't know people that do this stuff. He is on the forums though, and he says people would be excited to buy it, which what does that mean? Does that mean I make 10 and I sell 5 of them? Like, Mutables is like well known and revered and loved. So that means that you can have a run of 250 units plus, and some of them have defects. People all over the world are buying them. The next batches were made in France. Jeez. Green PCB, 2015 hardware revision. Okay, so printed manual. Oh my God. Doot. Installation, 2-channel multifunction. Do you think they put the tuning in the manual? It doesn't look like it. Nope. Nope. The forum might have information, although I don't know if the website works anymore. Split function. 4 potentiometers, modify the settings selected function. Please refer to the tables in the next section. Triggers 1 and 2. I think I need to power it up with triggers 1 and 2 activated, but let's just look up, oh, here we go. Firmware update procedure. Connect the output of your audio interface card to trigger 1 input. Power your modular system with peaks trigger 1 button pressed. The split trigger 1 and trigger 2 LEDs will blink. Make sure no additional sound. So that's how you reprogram. It's a very strange system, but it works. You need a lot of gain in order for that to work too. So that's not what I'm looking for. Channel 1, trigger 2, alternative ADSR function. Nope. Peaks tuning. When tuning an audio signal, peaking refers to mutable instruments, peaks, mod wiggler. I tried sifting through the massive mutable instruments thread, but could not locate any info on the module I discovered while playing about in the modular grid. Mutable instruments, peaks. It appears to be a digital dual envelope. LFO, really curious. Peaks is a compact 2-channel signal converter. Okay, yeah, It's in the thread. This is from 2013. Oh my God. Documentation. Where's tuning? Help me. I mean, I guess as a drum machine, it probably doesn't need to be completely tuned. It kind of does just work with its defaults, but they keep talking about tuning mode, and I keep not finding anything. Mutable instruments, guide. Manual, mutable instruments, peaks, PDF download, original printed manual. Compact, blah, 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 blah. User manual, mutable instruments. It's all just the user manual. And the user manual doesn't tell you how to tune it. But when you build one from scratch, you need to tune it. Ah! Or maybe not. A unique feature of peaks is the ability to lock on to an irregular sequence of taps. How do you do that? What mode is that? So technically, this web page is cursed. One of the modes of this thing, I could tap and then it would lock onto that. Where is that one? Let me look at the front panel again. Sorry, we're all over the place. I got to learn how the module works. I might consider buying these things. Just so I can label all my modular stuff. We have this Dead Man's software in there. Dual tuning machines, which are semi-random loop CD sequencers. That's cool. We'll just stick to the basics though first. Envelope LFO tap. So that would be this mode. And let's break out these things. We're not doing anything with those yet. So tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so that just lets me set a tempo by tapping. And I guess the output then would be, predictably, of course, it would just be tap, 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 tap. Okay, that's actually interesting. I like that a lot. That means that I can set tempo directly from this device if I want to. This hardware does quite a bit. There's a lot of functions in here. If I really needed a tempo, I guess I could get it from here. And then I assume that this alters it. Oops. Yes, it appears to change the output. Yeah, I know it's a standard metronome function, but I didn't know this thing did that. I didn't know this piece of equipment did that. Huh. Set an LFO with periodic. Okay, let's go back to square. So the position of this knob just tells what the wave is. So if I go 1, 2, 3, this thing starts going crazy. And then we can take a look at what that waveform looks like. So that's do-do-do-do-do. And then supposedly with this one, I can change the nature of it. Let's slow it down a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Now the LED is not doing anything. That's strange. Oh, because it's so tiny. Oh, I made it into nothing. So there I can explore. I can turn it into a square wave if I want. Or I can make it a funky wave. So I guess this one has a slightly different bank of waves. And then this one will control the parameters on that. Okay, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get it. Now we can't tune this because we don't have potentiometers on the outside of it. Now what is, okay, so what is this last one down here? Ah, somebody said something. Gee, that hurt. It appears to do nothing. Oh, is it repeating the trigger? No. What is that last one? It's an offset? Huh? I wanted to, this front panel is a mess. This is a mess of a front panel. This is offsetting the waveform. Oh, I see it working now. Okay, okay. So as I move that slightly, it's moving my waveform on the number line, and there it just runs out of volts. All right. So if I put the LFO into it, into the offset, hold on, let me think with my brain. What's brain? What are you doing, brain? Those are inputs, so I can't do that. I have it running to here. Yeah, so that's just making wacky signals. So if I take that LFO, cramp. Jeez. Does that have a, yes, it does. That's this one here. That is not, that's not, nope, that's not working. That's not, that doesn't, nope, nope, that killed it. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's an output. That's an offset output. Huh. That only can be controlled by the knob. So if I really wanted to offset the signal, I could. My waveform changed. Hold on, let's get it a little under control here. Oh wait, no, this is off. This one's off. Interesting. Okay, I'm starting to get it. But I can't control my offset with an LFO. I can't do that. So the decay, it's not actually attack and decay in this mode. In this mode, we are basically just a dual metronome. And I have waveform control over what's coming out of this thing. So if I wanted to set my beat, I could tap it in with this and send it to stuff that's using that tempo. Each mode is so different from the others. Oops. All right, well, okay, so that's a little bit of progress. And that I guess means it doesn't matter that I have this thing untuned. The tuning would be to just set a 0 voltage, and it seems to be pretty good on the number line. I think it would be sort of a minor tuning thing to go through. And I know a little bit more about how at least tap works. In drum mode, I have a snare and a drum kick. So that would need, I mean, if you bought multiple of these, you could run them in different modes and have them do a pretty good job of sequencing stuff, right? I only have one, so we just have test signals going into it. So this one requires an external trigger. And I'll just do this output of both of them, just the non-offset output. And so if I take a trigger that we're creating right here, and I put that into this trigger, we get a drum, we get a drum kick, a boo, and it has a sustain on it. And I guess the top one controls the snare, and the bottom set here, and we're not putting CVs in it yet, but if I do, see, that should be an attack, and it's not really doing anything. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong, this is the channel that we're looking at. And it doesn't do anything. That works, that does sustain all right. Because we can have little boof, boof, buff. These are techno drums versus other genres. But this doesn't appear to do anything. So what's that supposed to do? It says attack frequency, amplitude, and then decay waveform. So this is attack and this is decay. That attack really does not seem to be doing anything, unless that's at the very beginning of the waveform. And we could possibly hear it instead of seeing it. I think what I'm seeing is a slight rounding at the beginning of those things coming in. Really, if I made another one of these distributor things, we could send our pulse. I need more of these. I need like 4 more of these things, because then we could send the pulse to the scope so that it would sync up and we'd be able to see our waveforms a little bit more clearly. So what are the other modes? We have envelope, boom. So the envelope, we should be being sent, a waveform. So hold on, let's clean up a little bit here. So there's our 2 channel outs. I send in a waveform. That's the trigger. Wait a minute. Where does the waveform go in? Wait a minute. What are we enveloping? All right, let's read up about envelope. Where would that be? That would be on mutable site. Not you, not you. We can close that one. Do I still have the mutables manual open? It's a generator. The gate trigger input starts and holds the envelope. Aha! Okay, so what's happening is when this gets a pulse into its little pulse input, it'll generate a control voltage that we could put into a voltage controlled amplifier and create an envelope with it. So the attack, see, there's a very slow attack. Here's a real crisp attack. Boof, boof, boof. I can take that attack. The attack is the initial, what happens when it gets that trigger? How does the voltage respond to it? Does it go slowly or quickly? So if you have it slowly go up, now it's more of like a triangle, and that can control something else. Or it can do an envelope on a waveform and make it sound more like a drum beat. And that's it. So this is a row of control voltage influence, and this is the row of the effect for the right channel and the left channel. If I do a long decay, the voltage level will take a little longer to go down. So this is, it's kind of control systems stuff, if you look at it that way. How quickly does my system respond to a new instruction, and how quickly does it, I don't know, decay, whatever effect you're doing. This can all be done in heavy matrix algebra, or it can be done by a couple knobs. So if I go over to the next channel, same day, different crap. Yep. Okay, so that's an envelope generator. I'm learning a lot. I don't know about you guys. I'm learning a lot about how this this modular stuff comes together. And a lot of it is the quirks of each module. Each module has its kind of quirky things that it does. Now, when I unsplit, you get a much more, many more functions out of this, right? Well, nothing's happening now because I unsplit it. Do I need another trigger in here? I'm hoping this one is a trigger. Let me look at it real quick. Oh, it's this tiny little bump. Well, apparently that does nothing. Apparently that does nothing. I'm not getting any functionality out of these. Aren't they? Oh, this is purely manual triggering? One would think that I would have some kind of an effect on this. But it's all... Okay, so that's manual only when it's split. Interesting. Okay. So, LFO, the gate and trigger input resets the waveform cycle. Gate and trigger input. So one's gate and the other one's trigger, huh? So if I go into this mode, whoa! Now we're cooking. I bet that sounds real crunchy. Oh, that's the wrong one. How about you? Weird. Oh, I see. So it might have partially been between modes. And this is like making it go nuts. Yeah, so you can select different waveforms. This is an amplitude for the second channel and a waveform for the second channel because it's split. And if I unsplit it, this channel just doesn't do anything. I feel like the whole module changes when I undo split. And maybe that channel doesn't do anything. Interesting. How are you supposed to manage actually messing with this stuff if you haven't fully memorized the entire operator's manual of this thing? I guess you probably just work with one mode at a time and get to know it. Because now I can see that this is, when you have this in split mode, it's a top half, bottom half for the left and the right. These are manual triggers and also input buttons. This is your output indicator. This is an offset that only affects this output. This output is the same as this output, it's just offset. So you don't really need it, but if you really wanted to do like a tempo change or something, or sorry, like a shift in your like note sequence or something, you could probably do it with this, which is an odd thing. It's an odd feature to have on this. If you have it in a certain mode, it'll do one half will be a kick drum and the other will be a snare. And that's where I was plugging it into marbles, and it sounded like marching band music. I could only make marching band music. It was terrible. I hated it. Oh, I forgot I did give myself a front panel power connector. The maximum offset is dictated by the voltage into the device. It's plus minus 10 volts right now. If I try to go above that, what will happen, and I can just show you, I can just show instead of tell. When you offset, it will only go up to 12 volts. Actually, in this case, 10, because Emily Gillette really likes to design her, actually that's CD inputs. Well, I guess that may be dictated by the op amps, but they're being applied to a negative 10 volt offset, which doesn't make any sense. Hold on. You have 0 to 5 volts coming out, and that's being mapped, or 0 to 3.3 volts output from the microcontroller or the DAC. I think this one uses a DAC, so it's 0 to 3.3 volts, and that is being applied to an op amp to make it plus minus 10 volts. And you go outside of that, it just can't do it. It just can't drive it. Yeah, never mind. I was thinking of the inputs. For the outputs, it just can't go above 3.3 volts or below whatever, 0. Can't go below 0. By God, it's exactly the same. Well, this has been fascinating. All right, so that's drum mode. I think I've been through all the drum modes on this. Oh yeah, no, it's not a time offset. All right, so envelope generator, LFO, LFO with tap tempo, and then drum generator. The drum generator is a marching band generator if you hook it up to the other stuff. That's those. We also have the outlaw, whatever, the complicated name one, which we're not supposed to have, but we have it anyway because this thing is, I don't know, for some reason it doesn't appear to me that it really needs tuning. Unless Dead Man requires some tuning. Put a whole bunch of text up on stage here. Yeah, it's blocked by everything. You guys aren't going to really be able to read what's going on, but I would like to look through some of this stuff. Some hidden envelope modes. Randomized AD envelope mode. 4 new internally modulated LFO functions have been added. These behave like the standard LFO. Okay, so where's my principle of operation here? Bees in the trees. Here we go. Envelope, LFO, tap LFO, and bass snare. So those are the 4 modes that we've been working with in this table. LFO, tap LFO, those are the original. With this, we now have all this new stuff. Oh my God. Double attack envelope. So if we hold down the button for mode, we get to this with one solid LED and then the next one is blinking. So this is double tap LFO, double tappy. So we've got our 2 triggers coming into this thing. This thing is for some reason doing stuff. Let's take a look at the 2 outputs here. It's not really oscillating, is it? I don't know what that's all about. Tap, tap. Whoa. Tap. So when I trigger it, it'll do an LFO cycle. So this is going to be a little bit fast for it. Yeah, it just kind of charges up. It doesn't have the decay to deal with that. And I could obviously alter the settings, but that's the wrong channel. No, wait, that is the right channel. It's one frequency? I don't know what these are doing. So if you have trigger signals, you can turn them into low frequency oscillations. But our trigger signals are too quick. Whoa. What just happened? Wait, it went instantly down. Yeah, there's like an attack and a decay on each of them. Yeah, too many we're hitting the space bar too fast on our game of Flappy Bird. That's only going positive though. Is that controlled by... That's not... This is a decay. Yeah, it's attack and decay. So it, slow charge, quick decay. So if I put these both to as quick as they can be, it drops off. Right there. See, it cut. Maybe this goes the other way. Yeah, attack is way faster than decay. Or way slower than decay. Well, something's wrong with the math. Oh, wait, but we're not in split. What does that mean? No, too slow. Okay, so not split means that this has a frequency or a waveform selector, right? No, this is I don't think split matters. This is complicated. Repeating attack envelope, looping envelope, randomized AD envelope, and then bouncing ball. Oh, so if you want to make Aphex Twin music, you use that one. Frequency modulated LFO, varying wave shape LFO, mini sequencer, mod sequencer, pulse shaper. Let's try the mini sequencer. So we want flashing off, on, off. Flashing off, on, off. Oh, you got to hold down to change the first one. Oh, that was it. We were in the right mode. Here we go. Flashing off, on. No. You're doing it wrong. Oh, okay. So the solid LED is telling you what bank you're in. So there's the 4 banks. So we're in this one, and we want this one flashing for mini sequencer. So now we're in the mini sequencer. We have no triggers going into our device. The knobs are in random positions. What if I go into this one and I give it a pulse? It appears to be changing the voltage level upon receiving the pulse. And that is giving us our sequences, I suppose. Although this is way too big of a spread, so something is in a weird spot. Now right now these are split, so if I unsplit them, what happens? Well, it looks like the second channel is the one giving me my notes. God, this is weird. This is very strange stuff. I mean, I'm not a musician here. Sequencer. Where's mini sequencer? That's fun. There's no Turing machine. What? Hold on. Wait. What was the star on mini sequencer versus mod sequencer? Mini sequencer. There's a star on it, but there's no explanation. Okay. What the heck, man? I guess I'll just read about mod sequencer. Mod sequencer's alternative function works in a very similar way to the DIN-sync mod-sec module. Okay. Under the bonnet, it is just a very simple extension to the existing Peaks mini sequencer mode and works in a similar fashion. Thus, twin and expert modes are not... Thus, in twin and expert modes, knobs 1 to 4 set the output voltage of steps 1 to 4 of a sequence. Oh. So it's doot, 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 doot. So I can set my voltages here. So we can go from one end, 1/4 of that end. Hold on, like that. And then we can set it 1/4 from the top. And we can set this to the top. Doot, 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 doot. Aha! Okay, interesting. Want to set to 6 volts, so there's 8, the output voltage, blah, blah, blah. In split mode, there are 4 steps in each sequence. Knobs 1 and 2 set the voltage output for steps 1 and 2, and the complement of the levels for steps 3 and 4. Waha? For channel 1, knobs 3 and 4 set the output level of steps 1 and 2, and the complements of the output levels for steps 3 and 4 of channel 2. Blah, blah, blah. What? Okay, so split mode, we are now dealing with complements, and we need another trigger signal. I'm already using all of my triggers. Oh, no, I'm not. What? What? Wait. Huh? It's just... Huh? Weird. I guess, yeah, one goes up and the other goes down. I'm getting this kind of the same thing. So, okay, let me read this again. In split mode, there are 4 steps in each sequence, or 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can actually make that a little bit easier to follow. If we get real slow with the scope. There, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in split mode, there are 4 steps in each sequence. Knobs 1 and 2, that's these two. Knobs 1 and 2 set the voltage output level for steps 1 and 2. So you see there, I'm adjusting 1 and 2. I guess channel 2 is, I should really color coordinate these wires. Actually, we should do this. Here are the outputs. Blue channel, yellow channel. They'll be on the big fuzzy cables. So this one will go here. And then this one, I don't have anything to happen after these, but There, now we've got our color coordinated channels. Right now they're in lockstep. What's going on with that? Why is it like that? 4 steps in each sequence. Knobs 1 and 2 set the voltage output levels for steps 1 and 2, and the complement of the levels for steps 3 and 4. Knobs 3 and 4 set the output level steps for 1 and 2, and the complement output levels for 3 and 4. These are for 1 and 2. See it moving there. And I guess when it triggers, it sets the... What's going on with channel 2? Hold on a sec. Channel 1. Why was that turning them on and off? I just wanted to look at their voltage levels. These are set the same. Yeah, these are 5 volts per div. So... I don't understand. It appears to me as though it's broken. Maybe it has to do with the synced triggers. Yeah, it has to do with the synced triggers, I guess. Maybe. This is confusing. Everything is like in lockstep. That doesn't feel like there's 4 things going into this. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4. The trigger outputs behave in the same way that they do in the mini sequencer alternative mode. That is, as it says, the official Peaks manual in twin and expert modes. Channel 1 is... Wait, what do you mean it says in the Peaks manual? We looked through the Peaks manual. It didn't say anything like this. Channel 1 is clocked by trigger 1 and reset by trigger 2. Channel 2 is clocked by trigger 2 in split mode. What? What? Wait. Okay, nobody... We got our 2 channels, 2 things there. This one is just resetting it every time. This is odd. I'm sure there's ways you can make pretty complicated patterns with that. But you would have to have them interacting with each other in weird ways. Weird ways. Huh, that's cool. Byte beats. Let's see here. Try to go to byte beats, which is all the LEDs are on, but the two first ones are blinking. And then which one is solid on that? Oh, it's the second to last one. Hold on, I gotta... This one. Wait, which one? Yeah, all are on except for... Yeah, there we go. So all are flashing except for one. Oh, that would be very crunchy, what we're looking at right now. Look at that. Oh, whoops. This is like if you plugged an actual like communication signal into your synthesizer. It's crazy. So it's only in positives though. Oh my God. That probably controls how crazy it is. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm starting to realize what Basics is doing for me. What I'm able to get done. We're not really able to make audio with this yet. Eventually I'll get that sorted out, but for right now it's just this. Plus, we don't have a lot of space in here because we added the Crimes module so that I had a little bit more functionality. It seems like I could maybe just use the Basics to make all of my trigger signals. So this is like what I would need in order to do some rhythm on the synthesizer, because I've got envelopes and I've got just straight up drum noises coming out of it as well. It needs something to give it a tempo, or I can go to a tempo mode, in which case I would then need something that would produce drums. So you give up some stuff. It's the basics. I probably could use a couple more basics. So today was a lot of shuffling things around in order to kind of get my sea legs back with this modular synthesizer stuff. But so basics can now move into the main synthesizer. I didn't really tune it technically. Technically, there is a way to tune it either by using, I think there might be a mode that you can get into that'll allow you to tune it, but it doesn't appear to be something that really needs to be tuned. It sort of knows where 0 volts are, and I think it just goes from there because it's not creating strictly audio waveforms. It can create kick sounds. That is an audio waveform, but it's not as strict as like this is exactly a C note, or this is 0 volts, this is 10 volts. I think it knows its way around things well enough without tuning. The other ones, the voltage controlled oscillators, are what we'll really need to come up with some kind of a tuning on. And for that, I need to write software for my own setup here, my own little janky perforated prototype thing, which I can do. I could write software for that. So we might have a programming stream on on Tuesday, sorry. We might do a programming stream on Tuesday. I do need to do another, what happened? Chat disconnected, please wait while we try to reconnect, successfully connect. Okay, so nobody's talking in chat. I thought one of my chats froze up. Oh wow, there's a huge delay on YouTube. Yeah, so we can either do software on this, we could probably do a hashtag AutoCAD ad. I would like to work on the keyboard, or maybe I'll just have a complete mental break and move the brewing table away from the wall and we can work on Burn the Subs. Welcome back to chat. We're dead! No, you guys are fine. I'm ending a touch early. I mean, it's almost a 4-hour stream, but we established a lot of stuff. We learned a lot of stuff about basics. We got sort of somewhat testing setup going on, but if I were to go further than this, I would like to be able to output audio from this, and that's going to get a little bit more complicated with the modules that I'm putting together. So we'll try to get there. We'll try to get there. All right. Here is the end card. Dude. I don't think I'm gonna raid into any channels. I don't know if anybody I know is. Hold on. Let's just look quickly. I'll take a look while all these blinking lights go on. This probably sounds terrible. Whoa, that was whoa. Let's drop some frames. Look at all these frames I dropped. Yeah, let's raid Flatulent Gonad. Let's do that. I'm gonna send you guys over to Flatulent Gonad. You can catch me on these social medias. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Twitch chatters. This is a friend of the show, Flatulent Gonad. He does a lot of similar game stuff, like building game stuff, and is just generally a pretty chill guy. So go check him out. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Be back on Tuesday for sure. I'm not gonna drop streams as much anymore, even though I'm gonna get billions and billions of oil dollars. Have a good weekend. Oh yeah, there's somebody you guys should check out, which is a Distant Cacophony. We'll talk about her on Tuesday. Catch you then. If you're still listening to me, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and